And we're live. Don't everybody talk at once.
Hello, everybody, which is probably just me because we just started this stream.
Yeah, there's that like, as you start, like how soon?
Oh,
I don't know.
now it says there's 6 people there. Hello,
Oh,
6 people, and
hello, 6 people.
me.
Wow.
I do legitimately wonder because we've been doing this for over a year now, and we do it for other events as well. But like, it's not really the same kind of stream that like other game streams are. I don't. How do streams start? Do people just roll in? Do they? I guess they're on a schedule, so people show up maybe a little bit more regularly than they do for like weekly or monthly events. You can expect a lot. I don't know, or maybe just the bigger audience makes it not an issue. But I feel like these first couple minutes are gonna be. It's like secret, right? It's like
secret.
it's just for the
just
people who
started.
showed up right at the beginning, because the viewership numbers always go up as we get into the first hour or half hour of any of the streams that we do for
Hello,
IDVHC.
can you hear me?
Hey.
Hi, Josh. Or you must be Josh. I
Can't
shouldn't
hear
have.
anyone. Maybe it's just my audio.
Yes, because we can hear you.
And Josh, you are live on stream, FYI, so do not reveal any secrets unless you're ready, But Lane, why don't you go ahead and sort of get us to a proper start to let us know what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So today we have 5 games for you, and these are all games by local Twin Cities folks. Currently, by the way, me and Josh are doing a little tech support in the background, so I might have to like chat with him for just a little bit.
Okay. Here, why don't
one-
why don't I take over by saying this is Twin Cities Playtest, so that's what we mean by local, even though the internet is virtually everywhere. So Playtest is when we ask developers near and far, but especially near just because we're Twin Cities, to bring their games to us and we will give them feedback on it. That means me, Lane, and Mark as your hosts, but also you as the people on I'm like on viewer on the Twitch stream. You can join and play these games. There are instructions at bit.ly/tc playtest, and you do that by doing it through Mark. What's the program called?
It's a piece of software called Parsec,
Parsec.
which made the news recently. It's a desktop streaming app, but specifically for video games, so very focused on latency. And they just got purchased by Unity. Which is like interesting because I'm not sure what they're gonna do with it. Like, as a developer, I kind of like the idea of having like first-party APIs for this stuff. And when I mean first-party, I mean through the first party to the game engine. But at the same time, I don't know that I want it to be like too into. I don't know. I'm not sure I have an opinion on it, but it's interesting. But we've been making really good use of it here for playtests, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Unity at the helm. If it could just be in their portfolio and nothing changes with it, I have no idea.
Yeah, it is just honestly incredible to be able to like play test with people back in the cities or like without even like going over to your friend's house to like jam together. Like it's just awesome.
I mean, through the pandemic, it's been a godsend, but just
absolutely.
But beyond that, and Steam has its Play Together, which works similarly. I haven't had as much success with that personally, but I know the technology is roughly the same and pretty much as good. But like, I mean, it's there's a future for couch co-op, which is something we all like to hear.
I don't want to steal our later guest's thunder, but one of our guests today I think is like super duper close to getting a job in Barcelona, and like that would not be possible if not for things like Parsec, because their game I don't think has network multiplayer yet, but they're still like testing with each other all the time.
That's rad. Yeah. I'm working on with a remote team now, but we're not. But we're making a single player game, so it's it's not that. Other than screen sharing for helping each other with dev tasks, it's not, the remote part of it is not actually a big part of our work. But I could imagine wanting to like something that is more than one player. Remote teams were really disadvantaged before now. Having these sort of much easier tools to just make it much more like you're sitting on the couch with somebody.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our first guest. So I reached out to a couple folks on that are going to be there at 2DCon, and we can't get away with not talking about 2DCon today, because that's coming up in just 10 days. People are setting up this Friday, and then there'll be 2 days of playing a ton of indie games over at, Mark, do you remember where this place is, Dale?
I don't. Ooh, you don't put me on the spot. It's in a hotel in downtown Minneapolis. I will call it.
Maybe our first guest can give us some extra information. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I've been there. I've been there for like every year for the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Love it. I can't wait to go and hang out with people who I haven't seen in a long time.
Hmm.
And so I was skimming through some games and looking for some exciting ones, some indie islands that wanted to hop on and test with us. And there was one that Josh, who's working on this game called Eternal Exodus, which is continuing from last month's theme. It is another like monster collecting RPG game. This one's set in the afterlife. I'm eager to hear more about
Ooh.
that. But he's working on a feature that is just perfect for us because he's working on a brand new mini game and he needs some feedback on how that's going.
Oh, nice.
That sounds like something we can provide.
Josh, if your audio is working now, you want to say hi and tell us a little about your game?
Hey, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. And my game is Eternal Exodus. It's a little bit of a mashup between genres there. You know, it's mainly like a monster catching game, like you were saying. A little bit of Pokemon and Shin Megami Tensei inspiration as well.
It's cute.
Yep. So like you're catching the monsters, then you're fusing them together and stuff like that. It gives you a little bit of options for how you want to customize your team. You know, like skill inheritance is a big part of it. So
Uh-huh.
one monster learns a skill, and you fuse it with another monster, and it passes down the skills to the resulting monster. So depending on which ingredients of monsters you're using, you can end up with wildly different results versus someone else doing a playthrough and fusing the same type of monster.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went. That just sounds like the combinations that are possible for your final team must be buck wild and very exciting on the player side, but also like how is that as a dev? Have you hit off a big problem here?
Yeah, it's a little bit challenging.
Nice.
I've tried to structure things just in my workflow. The way that I've approached it is I kind of design monsters in batches of say about half a dozen at a time. Like I'll say group one is the first 6 monsters that you encounter in the game, and then maybe like 2 or 3 monsters that you can only acquire through fusing different ones. So ones that you won't encounter in the wild, just like special ones. So just like as far as the player's time aspect of it, I guess you could say, like the first hour of the game, you have access to those first 8 monsters or so, and then the next 8 monsters. And so it gives me a way to kind of gate the content into blocks that I can organize pretty well, like making sure that all of those different 8 monsters in that first block have a strong enough variety of skills that you're not going to be missing out on anything. You know, like one will have a healing skill, one will have a fire spell, a water spell, that kind of thing.
Cool. And it sounds a little bit like you're thinking about things like a little bit like how, in Pokemon, if you start out with like your starters, regardless of the generation, basically, that like Charizard you get early on is not going to be irrelevant at the end. It sounds like your starters in this game are going to be like still contributing meaningfully at the end.
Yep, in a way they are. It's kind of weird in a way. It's in Pokemon, like you said, you have the Charizard at the end, who's still the same Charizard that you remember from.
Oh, but in this one, they're going to be totally twisted, totally different by the end, right?
Like you're fusing him, you're probably gonna fuse your starter monster into something brand new in like the first 15 minutes of the game. So it'll have the same skills that you start with. So like if you chose the fire starter, you're gonna have a fire skill for the next, for a while in the game. So it does influence your starter choice, does influence your early game in that way. But it's definitely something where you're not going to grow quite as attached to your starter as you would in Pokemon.
Well,
so as much as
yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
enjoying this attract mode, do we want to get a player on?
I did want to say one of the kudos on this lovely attract mode, which every time it
So
goes back
good.
to the main title, it goes back to the attract mode and you get something different. You have a lot of attract mode content in here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's the attract mode. I actually have to re-record that because right now it's all using the old art style, and just about 2 months ago, released.
Ah.
We're going to be surprised when
Oh.
we actually watch it. I should stop complimenting this lovely attract mode.
Well, no, because then you can be blown away by the improvements in the game proper.
Okay, well,
But yeah,
we'll
having a track
see.
mode's good for showcasing at a place like 2D Con. I know, like, you're competing for eyeballs as people just wander the halls of the place. So it's really good to have.
So is this
So
something that
our regular playtester is phoning in ill today, and
What?
so I was wondering, maybe Josh can stick around and playtest a future game if you wanna. But for now, Mark or Dale, would one of you like to start in as our first playtester?
Dale, what do you say?
Yes.
Okay.
I just hit the connect button if you will let me connect.
All right. And a controller, I'm assuming?
Do I need a gamepad, a keyboard, a mouse, all of the above? That would be
Gamepad, I would say, makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do that.
All right. You should be connected, Dale. Go ahead and hit a button, and we'll see if it's working.
Oh, my controller turned off.
Okay.
Here, I'll press the space bar. Am I working?
Oh, I didn't give you keyboard control, so.
Well, because right now it just tells me the host is doing something else.
Oh, I see.
So it seems like I'm not connected.
How about now?
It says the same thing. Should I go
Huh.
back and just... I'm going to go back and I'm just going to try to reconnect. Okay. Waiting to connect.
All right. Let me.
Otherwise, you're going to have to play this.
Well, we're getting into the game, Josh. You want to tell us about like what sort of thing in the game? What are we doing in this minigame?
Sure. So this mini game is it's about 90 seconds long. It's one of those things where the time to play it is consistent from one playthrough to the other, just based on the length of the level because it's an automatic scrolling level. So the inspiration from this one came from Turtles in Time, actually. If anyone's
No
played.
way.
I
No way. One
recognize
of my
that
favorite
when I
SNES
saw it.
games.
Yeah. It's very. I was like, oh, I know this. Give it a try, Dale. See if it's working for you now.
Okay.
But it has some collectibles. You can like earn some currency. It seemed to me like it was a tiny bit like Super Mario RPG in that way, where you can like collect some stuff while you're going.
So I appear to be connected, but I don't seem to have controllers.
It might be consuming my controller, which is why
Oh.
maybe you don't. That
Okay.
sometimes happens.
Do you want to just play, Mark?
Well, we're gonna have this problem all night. Might as well solve it now. People can just bear with us, which is how these things go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
we
ahead.
could
Go ahead
have
and connect
people-
in, Dale.
Okay.
Oh, you're still connected. Okay.
Yeah.
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
Oh.
That has been, I think, our principal, like, I mean, streaming is so many moving parts.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what
mini
it's,
game.
Yeah, it looks like the game can only consume one controller, and I just had mine plugged in, so that was the problem.
Ah.
Oh, great.
Okay.
That's pretty common
Okay.
for game builds.
Especially if they're single player games. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm playing the mini game, right? Or am I playing a new game? I'll play the mini game.
We're doing minigame today until Josh tells us otherwise.
Ooh! Whoa!
Look at
Whoa!
the new
It's
art.
like I am in a sewer. Holy crap! Looks like okay. Oh, those are good things. Oh no!
Man.
Oh, okay. I can
Master
jump.
Shredder is not going to be ready for you. Oh!
So am I?
Ah!
I can't see the video here. I thought this was going to be streamed over the Discord. Am I supposed to connect via Parsec? To see?
If Dale can stream it to Discord, that actually makes it a little easier to comment on what you're seeing live. But it's on twitch.tv/IGDATC. Oh, sorry, IGDATC.
Yeah, if you just have the Twitch channel, you'll be a little bit
Ah,
delayed
no.
from what we're seeing live, but that's the easiest way to do it and involves the less amount of streaming.
Well, you will be relieved to hear that I just died, and so I got to start over. Okay.
Very
Okay.
nice.
So
So
I
what
gotta
happens if the
collect
player
these.
dies in the real game? Do they just reset? Do they end with a small amount of gold?
Oh, and the reel and like the RPG itself.
Correct. If they're playing this minigame there.
Oh, ouch!
Oh,
ouch!
right, in the minigame. Yeah, right now. So my plan is just have a reset as is right now, and possibly have a depending on how feedback goes, if people struggle with it, I was thinking about maybe adding an option to just skip the mini game and continue on with the story. But
Gotcha.
there's a couple ways to go there. Either that or just make it easier in general and have the rewards tiered off to higher score. Not really sure.
By the way, when I was playing this earlier, I did think that you did a pretty great job in getting there being enough risk and reward here. If you want to just survive, it takes the challenge way down. But if you want to try to get all of it, it goes way up. I love that.
All the tangerines? Oh no! I died.
And to answer Cinnabon art, yeah, there is definitely a healthy telegraph where the enemy comes.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yes. Yeah, that's all really well done. I had a couple of control thoughts, and I know very little about this type of side scroller. But the thing that I noticed the most was that when you jump, you enter the jump animation. You are actually in the air a few frames before your hitbox actually clears the ground. 2 or 3 frames. So I would frequently hit the spikes when I thought visually that I shouldn't.
Right on. Okay.
So just a real low-hanging bug to take a look at.
Actually, I have a thought on the jump too, which is less about the controls and more about when you jump and the board stays on the water. That is very Turtles in Time, right? That's just straight out of that. There's something really fun and cute about that. But because there's spikes coming out of the ground, the board just skates over them. And so there are ways you can get around that visually. Instead of spikes, they could be just other hazards that the board goes under. Or the board can wobble a bit as it goes over those to kind of show.
Ooh, I like that.
Or
wobbly board.
And here's the part where you have to kind of take the nostalgia that inspired you and maybe move past it. Maybe the board can just ride up with the player. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to, unless you're really going for that, that specific reference. Because it does create some, I would say, continuity issues with how all the art interacts with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Definitely.
Yeah, there's 7 ways to solve it, but it just seems a little bit it depends on what's important to you,
I do enjoy the little I'm gonna go with bubbles coming off the back of my board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also enjoy the fact that these floating tangerines, turn into a bunch of stars. Oh no, I missed that one. And I hit that guy.
I really like the single spikes. They're not much of a threat, but it makes it so you're not just free to whiz around. I agree with Lane. I think the layout of the hazards feels really good.
Yeah.
And the speed of the scrolling is good. It's probably a little slower than maybe some people would want, but I think it's correct.
Woo.
By the way, Josh. One thing that I'm noticing from Dale, I had this exact thing, same thing as well. I guess I would love for some controls, because Dale, if you haven't noticed, you can actually attack.
What?
And it might be interesting to see you trying to do that a little bit.
Boom. Nope. Missed it.
And when we come to the attack, here's the other.
Dale.
Nice. Here's the second little, I guess I would call it a bug. I don't really know. The input buffering is extremely generous. If you hit jump attack, you will basically queue up stuff for the next 3 seconds to do, which is it caused me to die a bunch.
This is a genre that really wants precision, right? It's precision platforming of a sort. So you probably don't want to have a lot of that queuing going on. You want to be able to cancel stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah. I would expect that if you input something less than a quarter second before that move can be executed, then you wouldn't want to buffer it.
That's good feedback. I'm taking some notes here.
I wonder if the reason...
I'm really bad at hitting these guys.
So I want to say Dale as a playtester is great because, for many reasons, but one is that she will press all the buttons, to try to figure what's going on, and she very purposely doesn't make a strong effort to remember what any of them does.
Oh, I don't.
So what's nice about that is it really tests your game's intuitiveness. And I was actually quite surprised that she didn't discover there was an attack button.
It didn't look
because
like I needed one. It looks like it's a.
That's exactly
They look
right.
like they're obstacles.
Yeah.
Is when the enemies fly up, they jump about as high as the player does.
Oh, ouch.
So there's kind of a sense I could see that you can meet them up there, or certainly your weapon is long enough. But that was my first instinct too, is that they were just obstacles, not enemies to attack, because of the way they appear, kind of up and away, rather than like skating along at your level. They never feel like you're gonna run into them, only that you should get out of the way when they jump. You know what I mean?
Now, would it be possible to like use art? Like, I think that if you kill them, your score goes up. Would it be useful at all? Do you think to like I don't know, change their color or make it like in some way? Is there a way to make it more obvious that you get something for killing them?
Oh, like, can you put one of these tangerines on a necklace around their neck?
Oh, that's a very intuitive way
That's cool.
to imply that there's something you go for. I like that a lot. Also, you do need to make blue ones and purple ones and white ones and stuff, because just like the foot soldiers.
What are you saying that this is not Turtles in Time enough?
I'm saying I could do with it being a little less Turtles in Time or a lot more Turtles in Time. Either way is good.
I don't know. I like my character's hair though. I like that it's blue.
I like the amount of animation in the character. It's not because it's pixely. It's not full like animation.
Oh, I'm doing horrible
but there's
this
enough
time.
frames to give it some fluidity. I really like it.
Mech Alina with the absolute truth there. Yes, if you care about expressing that the enemy gives you points when you kill it, then it could totally use particles that are similar to the coin particles.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a coin and not a tangerine. No offense to Dale.
What?
It can be
It's a floating tangerine. Ghost tangerine.
Yeah, the coloring on it implies a sort of a spherical shading that maybe you didn't intend for. That might be why it feels like a tangerine.
Oh, and if you want
Well,
it
and
to
the
be
shadow. The shadow super looks like a
yeah.
That's true. Although I
Yeah.
have to say that shadow is so standard for all sprites. Like I don't see another way of doing it, but it does leave that impression because this is a 3/4 perspective game.
Oh, the other thing I was gonna say is, I am wearing a belt buckle on top of my shirt.
Yes. It's like pirate outfit, I guess.
Yeah. Also, I have
Presumably
an
that's
arm
not the
thingy,
reference, but
too. But for whatever reason, that looks more gold than these gold tangerines.
oh, I
to
see.
me,
What you mean, yeah.
Is it because it's backed by
Yes, it's because the belt
brown?
has brown and the coins are covered in black. There is brown shading at the very edge, the one layer, but it's very close. I think it's the black outline means that the orange feels less metallic.
feels less metallic and more tangerine.
Yeah, more tangerine-y, correct.
Yeah, so if you want to make it more coiny, put more brown in there, right? How am I doing?
I mean, it depends. I mean, there's a lot to be said about line art in pixel art. Like a lot of times, pixel art palettes will have all line art will be black, right? That's like a design choice.
Yes.
Now in the backgrounds, you see the barrels have a different shaded outline.
Oh, I can't see them. I am
You're
too busy
Yeah,
hitting the air with my stick.
but all the active sprites, it looks like, uses a black outline. Maybe the spikes are slightly different. So really, that's a choice where if you want to make them different for that reason, then that has implications for the whole art style. So that's not something we could just propose as a solution. That might cause more problems than it solves, depending on.
Okay. What about these HP titles and the score title? Is that final font, or are you going to make it more pixely? Because Mark has a book.
Oh yeah, I do have a book of pixel fonts, or like old arcade typefaces.
I actually went back and forth with the font a couple times in development, going from a pixel font to just a regular font. And a lot of people had different opinions on it. I mean, beta testers, I'd say probably 80% preferred the clear font, and then 20% preferred the pixel font. I kind of lean toward this font myself, but something some people suggested in the Discord for the game was adding the option in the settings menu to switch between pixel font and this font.
Well, that's just going to mean twice
Can
as much
we
work for you.
Rewind a little bit, and you said some people in the jam, blah blah blah. Was this created starting with a game jam?
Oh no, sorry, I misspoke there.
Okay.
I have a
No, I think
Discord.
Dale misheard you.
That might be too. I do that, and I am distracted by all this sewer water and floating tangerines.
That green is perfect for the sewer water, by the way. It's like
Oh,
dead
yeah.
on.
Ah! Also, I'm not very good at this. Mark, you should probably take over soon.
Should I?
So tell me a little bit about the story. Why am I in a sewer? And why are there these flying purple dragon things?
Well, so the sewer is one of the dungeons in the game.
Okay.
There's like a traditional RPG type of sewer dungeon that you crawl through to get from
Okay.
one area to the other, kind of going through the tunnels because you're, well, I guess I shouldn't get into the story too much, but yeah, basically you're just traversing through the sewer, and then from a story perspective, I needed a way to have the player get back to where they were, and I didn't want to do the whole backtracking thing and have them go through the entire dungeon all over again.
Ah,
So I
gotcha.
thought it'd be kind of cool, just have them pick up a surfboard at the end of the level and use that to backtrack all the way through.
So is that going to be kind of like a structure for the game? Is each dungeon is different, and then each dungeon ends with a different minigame?
No, there's that would be pretty cool to do, but pretty time consuming, I'm sure too.
You're imagining it
trying
just for this
for-
particular dungeon?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we're probably about 3
My-
or 4 mini games overall.
My lag on this is terrible right now,
Is it?
Mark.
Well, why don't you go ahead and quit? I'll give it a go.
You think I can quit? You think I know how to do that? Let's see. My menu button doesn't work. Or wait, I don't even know what a menu button is. I think it's my menu button. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to quit.
Well, I'll just boot you out then.
Okay, that's cool.
Alright.
It's probably because
Okay.
I'm also trying to watch the stream and I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Ickmeister, who by the way is our next dev up after you, is asking: is the HP font the same font as all the dialogue and stuff? Okay, you already addressed that. Yep.
Because it's the same as the Go, right?
The same as the goat.
Same
The
exact.
No, the Go, like Go is the word that pops up
Oh,
when
yeah.
it's time to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how long does this level go? Is it just currently endless?
It's 90 seconds. Dale has actually done it.
Oh, okay,
Yes!
okay.
At least one time I won.
I was just thinking about like what my risk reward is. Like, if I get points for the enemies, am I just better off? They're kind of hard to sort of nail, and so maybe I'm just better off just avoiding them. But you want to be motivated either because they're worth so many points, or because you can't let them get away, or some other reason why the player would want to risk going for them when they can just get a couple of tangerines instead.
Yeah, the reward there is not implemented yet, but what it's
Okay.
going to be is at the very end. There'll be 3 items that you can get in the real RPG game that you
Ooh.
inventory
Cool.
based on your score. So 20 points you get the worst item, 50 points the medium one, 100 points. The best
Okay.
one.
It's pretty good.
Are you able to like replay this for a higher score?
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to do that.
Okay, sick.
Get the higher score and the PlayStation Network trophies. If you're at the top reward.
Yeah, I can see you playing this a lot.
I really want to
I
jump
was
and swing, but I keep getting hit when I do that. Like,
yeah,
there's-
I was curious. Like, does anybody have like strong feelings
Ooh,
about
there we go.
like the being able to attack the guys that are in the air while you're on the ground, as long as your like sprite overlaps theirs? I found myself like then ultimately not really caring that much. What do you guys think?
I did not care that much, but I don't care a lot about lots of stuff.
It doesn't feel like I should be able to, but also I don't always hit them when I try. So I mean, I think this is the part of the game that needs the most work. Is the interaction with the enemies, because I'm not motivated to go for them, because I'm 4 out of 5 times I get damaged for my trouble. And I don't know why. And I think it's just because, I don't know what the hit and hurt boxes are. The wind up for the attack is a little slow.
The attack animation, I mean, like all the other animations, it's quite good. But like, what it could use, I think, is some sort of a swipe in front of you, so that you know, like, approximately how big the hitbox is and approximately how long it lasts. Because like I could get a feel for it when I was playing earlier, but it never lined up with what I thought, like, my eyes were seeing. You know?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it's because if you actually look at each individual frame, it kind of, maybe it's because it almost looks like I'm swinging behind me, and not in front of me. Like I don't really see the apex of the attack.
I get what you mean. Yeah, it looks.
I can fill in the details with my brain, you know, with like you would when you're watching a cartoon or something. But I think there's like it's also a pretty linear swing, where it should probably be a little bit more, when it swings out, it should hold there for a frame or two longer than you might normally expect it. If that makes sense, just to sort of telegraph the, especially if you do want to indicate, if you do want to indicate a delay, so that I need to like the swing takes a little time. Like I think Lane and I are both of the opinion that we don't want that, but if that's something you do want, then I think that needs to be telegraphed more to the player so they can better understand if they've timed it right, you know.
It's all about, yeah, exactly. I think it's all about telegraphing.
Yeah.
I have played games, like I would say that both Rogue Legacy and also all the Castlevania games have a meaty like delay before your attack, and those are sweet games.
Right.
Like I just think that like it needs to be crystal clear what's going on in order for that to work.
Yeah. Was it Hollow Knight has that too? And I did not like that about Hollow Knight, but nobody else complained, so it's definitely a valid way to go. Dale, did you want to try the main campaign?
I did. If you will let me. Otherwise, you can do it. I wanted to see this new art style.
Yeah, let's.
That was very.
Let's give it a showcase.
Because this attract mode art style is really good. Like, I don't know what you're doing replacing
I don't know what you're doing. Yes, same here. It was very confusing to me.
Yeah, that was one of the big complaints people had, surprisingly.
That you replaced your really good art? Yeah.
No, I mean,
Brutal.
A lot of people wanted it replaced because it was all from set packs and stuff. But now
Disagree. I will say that there should be more of a space between the R and the N, so it doesn't look so much like an M.
Retemel?
Yeah, Retemel.
I think it reads okay, but I get your point. I can see how you might. It's just that it's that accent on the.
Press any button to start. Is that me? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, new game.
You're very excited. I love that.
As I approached the guillotine, I thought this was the end of my existence. Really, it was just the beginning, because I am a ghost. I'm assuming that's...
I'm imagining a totally different game about just a headless body going on adventures.
Josh Ford presents That Must Be You. Eternal Exodus.
No, it's not. It's not in
cool.
Termal. It's in
that.
Temel.
In Temel?
In Temel. Oh, I like that pan down. That's a really good intro. I like that a lot.
Whoa, yeah.
It's great.
Man, the spawning pool should be just ahead. Oh, I'm in control of this. It's been a few hours since anybody checked this pool, so it's likely we'll find a spawn. Is the spawn me? In case you've forgotten, this is how it works. When somebody dies in the quote, real world unquote, the first world, they are reborn here in the afterlife. Afterlife with a new fully grown body.
Hey, real quick before you continue, I think it's a little weird that he says the real world, the first world. I say pick one or the other, and then you can, like, if you just describe the first world, and then later someone could describe it as the real world. That just, it reads a little strange to me. It's like, are there two things? And sorry, I just had to, it just got me.
Okay.
Yeah, unless there's a big narrative reason to do that.
As you go through, this is what those bodies will appear in spawning pools, which we rescuers then pull out, then we help transition them to their new lives. Okay, that also feels a little wordy, so that could
this is really like straight expositional, but I don't dislike it. I kind of like it as an info dump. I mean, other than that little like rhetorical thing I had a complaint with, I kind of like the, if in case you forgot, here's how it works. It's a little cheeky, but I think that's totally cool. I think there are other in situations in games where it might feel heavy-handed. So far, I like it because it's interesting.
Yeah. And it's just 2 boxes so far, so how can you go wrong?
Okay. If we do our job right, we find them shortly after they spawn, and everything works out well. Uh-oh, we're late.
Yeah, it isn't it, but it implies more that it's not saying, which is cool.
But if they've been floating in a spawning pool for too long, they can suffer permanent defects. Uh-oh. They can even die if left in a pool for long enough. Oh, we better hurry. Let's go. Some would say that the world is overpopulated and that we should just leave them to die. Ever since the medicinal powers of the ether were discovered and immortality became a reality, that's been a major concern. But why should these lost souls suffer? Is it right to... this guy is talking a lot when we should be going to the spawning pool.
So at this is the point at which depending on how like a silent protagonist you want to be, you might want the player to ask some questions. Like, wait, die? I thought we had immortality. Or, I heard someone say we're overpopulated. You know what I mean? To have that... You don't have to give the player, a character, an opinion about this conversation, but maybe have them prompt the man a little bit more. Assuming you're one of these other characters.
Okay, so a bunch of different playtesters, a bunch of different opinions. I want to get to that pool, so I'm thinking that maybe some of this text can go when they're at the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it right to deny their chance at life or afterlife just so we can be better off? No. Let's go. Anyway, let's get going. Remember, every single soul we save is a small victory. Okay, now we're going, and I am not controlling it.
So Dale's impatient, but I still think that's an okay amount of info dump.
Disagree.
I think presented a little bit more in context, or as you animate through the scene, might be better. But
there's one now. Let's pull him out and get him cleaned up.
That's your character.
That's what yeah. Okay. Oh, awesome. Seems healthy enough. Okay, good. Looks like he can stand and walk now. Now what? Oh, it's a woman. There's a town nearby called Minden.
Okay, so the man does all the talking and the woman gets like a word or two in edgewise. So realistic so far. But maybe not the right direction.
We'll bring him into town and get him set up there. He'll be fed, educated, and raised to be a functioning member of society. Over the coming weeks, he'll regain some of the memories of the first world and he'll learn to speak. When he's capable, the mayor will set him up with a job. And at that point, he'll be one of us.
See, that instruction is something you could be telling the player character, or have these characters instead of telling each other, right?
Just another man free to choose how to live his afterlife. Okay. Welcome to Hell, kid. Oh, shit. We're in hell.
It's a good chaser to the scene.
Yeah, because it seems so nice and pleasant and everything's green, and it turns out this is the hell version.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not, or if it actually is a story reveal.
Wait, hold on.
Is that a map?
Oh,
cool.
Whoa, this guy is like a knight. Hello, Apollo. My name's Apollo?
Real quick, I just wanted to invite or to welcome Super onto the stream. He'll be presenting a game later on, but welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Now, you can also comment on everything. Sorry, What was I saying the other day about that I'm straight talking Dale, because I'll just tell you what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose you've checked your calendar today, have you? No, I haven't. Oh. That's what I look like.
Oh,
I
like the
my
animation
headband.
in those full
No,
frame characters.
is some event going on today? Heh, some event.
Wiggle text, yeah.
My boy, it's August 3rd. Is that my birthday? Oh, it is my birthday. It's my spawning pool birthday.
Dale, I legitimately thought you were asking if it was your actual birthday because your birthday is in August and you do celebrate all month. So
It's birthday month.
it's birthday month for Dale. So
Thank you, everybody. I'm assuming everybody's just filling it in the chat with happy birthday, Dale. Okay, as is tradition, that means you are promoted to take on a much more important role in the village. I'm not so sure about this. Okay, from this day forward, you will no longer be the village blacksmith. I thought that was a very important job, considering what you're wearing, Mayor William. Today, you become Demon Summoner. What? You'll be tasked with using your new powers to defend the village from the wild demons of the forest. I clearly just molded those together. Congratulations on your promotion. Thank you, Mayor. I think.
now to see to my broken wrist.
This is going to take some getting used to. From blacksmith to demon summoner in one day.
Here it is. It's the headband. If he wasn't wearing the headband, I wouldn't think his wrist was broken. It feels like he just got back from karate. You know.
He doesn't want to pay workman's comp for your carpal tunnel being the blacksmith.
Yeah.
So he is switching me jobs. Don't get too attached. If you do well as demon summoner, I will have much bigger work planned for you soon.
Ooh.
What do all the other people in this town do? And it's not like you've forgotten your crafting skills overnight. You can always use anvils like the one in your house to craft useful items for your demons.
Whoa.
That sounds like I'm keeping them as pets.
That's a fun, like, when in a Mario game when Toad tells you what the B button does. I always love that in video games where it's like, yeah, we're gonna kind of peek through the fourth wall a little bit. It wouldn't be something that this character would actually say to you, but like it's important for the player to know, so we just dress it up in the. I think that's great.
Be sure
I agree. That was a great line.
Yeah. It's like it's a light touch. I really like it.
Okay. In any case, let's go and summon your first demon. And now he has really big eyes. Did he always have such big eyes? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say he wasn't letting on before, but he is scared of demons. Just trying to keep it together.
Meet me up at the entrance of the forest. Head north past the inn and I'll meet you there in a few minutes. Okay. Quest started. Get your starter demon. Okay. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. So I have this large rug, it appears, and on this large rug I have a couch. And then either a giant rug. No, this is a giant crystal because I can walk behind it. Because I was like, maybe it's just a rug shaped like a crystal that apparently I can. Oh, I can talk to it by creating new safety data.
I thought you were trying to use the couch and find the nap button.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Ooh, look at all these buttons.
Whoa! That made you look sweet.
Items. Back. Equip. Oh, I don't have anything.
You're gonna have a ton of items. Oh my god.
You know, I would love to have some skills because it sounds like a quest. Get your starter demon. Yeah, that's important. Settings. Okay. Language 2. Ooh, so I can secretly learn some other language.
Feature.
Simultaneous? What? That's awesome.
Josh, speak to that a little bit. I've never heard of anyone doing anything like that.
Sure. So the idea there, it's mostly for people who are trying to learn a second language. And so say you're learning Japanese and you're not really fluent yet. You want to play the game in Japanese, but occasionally you're going to run into words or sentences that you can't understand. What you could do is set the first language to Japanese and then language 2 to English. And what'll happen then is for all the dialogue in the game, it'll show the dialogue in Japanese, but then in the very bottom of it, in a small font, it'll show the same message in English.
That's really cool. So it's basically like subtitles, but because the game is not fully voiced, but it's still subtitles. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say that my brother had a friend who taught English in Italy, and he would yell at his kids in class for using their slingshots because he learned it from Zelda. I'm gonna make this. I think. Okay. I'm gonna make this. I don't know how you make poison and poisonade, both on an anvil, but you know.
If life gives you poison.
Yeah.
Make poisonade. Ooh.
I would say, is poisonade just like really refreshing poison?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Comes
Okay.
in a little packet
Also, I
with
got a
some
knife
sugar.
here and a big stove. that looks like it should be closer to the wall because otherwise it just looks like it's going into
Yeah,
my
but
wall.
Dale, you ever pull your stove away from the wall and find that there's been a ton of crud that's fallen behind it?
Oh, so much shredded cheese.
Yeah, this prevents that.
I can squeak back there.
Pretty clever.
Okay.
All right, we gotta see how this mini map works. Whoa,
Okay.
interesting.
What's this thing? Is this a light pole? Oh, I think it is. It's like a lantern on a pole. Okay, who's this person? Talk to me. Talk to me.
Oh no, he's
Only
running away.
been in the village for a few months, so I'm still a blacksmith. How many blacksmiths does this village need?
Maybe the lowest rung of society is blacksmith, and you work your way
Yeah,
up.
that seems to be what I'm hearing too. Is that everyone who gets pulled out of the pool gets put in front of an anvil for a year?
Probably to support the mayor's
Addiction to wearing that breastplate everywhere
Yeah.
he goes.
his addiction to new armor. See, this person like clearly knows what's going on. That you're a blacksmith and then you get promoted to demon summoner. I was asleep for a year apparently.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of an interesting take on it. I don't know a lot about Pokemon, and I don't know a lot about JRPG tropes, so I'm kind of just like there's probably some cues I'm missing, but like the idea that you get pulled out of the lake, and a lot of that info dump there is really implying a new to the world fish out of water kind of experience, but then cut to a year later. And
Yeah, you're already ahead of this guy.
yeah, so the player knows less about the world than the character does, which is interesting. I don't dislike that at all, especially because I do love that kind of like in case you forgot language. That's kind of cute and fun. But because we were introduced to the character, kind of still with some placenta on, to use a phrase, like it's a little strange. I'm not really sure what the game wants me to think at the moment. And certainly now that we meet this other character who's in a similar position as you were in that previous scene, it doesn't feel. I don't feel what the motivation of it is, if that makes sense.
Oh, I cannot go through.
I'm
the
certainly curious at this point.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
disagree with anything you, but if the game does a good job of like sort of satisfying questions, keeping the mystery going for a while, I could see myself really enjoying that sort of all the questions that.
Yeah,
I
I don't
will say-
dislike that the player is a little in the dark, like with that year time skip. But I guess maybe that in my mind, if that's the direction you want to move it with, I would rework that opening scene to make that less.
Yeah.
Because now I really just want to know what this character's first couple weeks in town were like. Like that's what I was really excited about. And then we skipped it, and I'm like, oh well, this is equally exciting, but I don't get that thing I was excited about. Narrative expectations is all it is, really. There's no bad choices. Just
So I'm.
By the
very
way, we are
upset.
just a few minutes away from Super Moose's turn here. So
Okay.
if anyone has any final thoughts they'd like to put on the line.
I will say that I'm super disappointed that I walked into some lady's house. Hello, Augustina, and she has a jar on her floor,
uh-oh,
and I cannot do anything with it.
Dale can't smash that jar. That's
Tragedy.
that knocks a whole point off the review score for Dale.
Ooh, but I can't steal her like treasure chest stuff.
Right in front of her too. She turns her back on you. Disgusting.
So is that okay? Is that enough, Dale? Is stealing from the townspeople
Oh,
good enough, or do you want to break their stuff?
I want to break their stuff. This is a witch.
Well, you haven't been given the sword by the stranger in the woods yet. So.
Oh, I have to. It's the mayor supposed to meet me. Oh, this guy turned down the roll.
Oh.
Ooh.
Why did I not do that?
That's a cool piece of like flavor for the world building. I like that.
I don't want to move away. I have a girlfriend who won't let me smash her stuff.
Wow. All right, Josh.
Okay.
Any last questions or any last thoughts for us? I mean, otherwise, I'm just gonna plug. I think that everybody here should go to eternalexodus.com and check out new developments on the game. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it at 2DCon.
Yeah, and yeah, if you're gonna be at 2DCon, come give it a try.
am
There's a
a-
lot. Like we just scratched the surface of the main mode.
Yep.
But give a go in the mini game at least. It's a blast.
Josh, how long have you been working on this game, and is a subjugator a sword?
That's the little thing that the guy wears on his wrist. If you remember from the sword.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the minigame.
Yeah, it's the demon capturing device, basically.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So it's the Pokeball equivalent, and
Yeah.
subjugator's a good word for it.
it is.
It's a little bit more honest than Pokeball.
I was just looking forward to smashing some pots with a sword. That's all.
Well, Dale, we have a copy of the build here at home, so you
Yeah,
can play it later.
I don't even have to go to 2DCon, even though we'll be there.
We will be there. That's correct.
Okay, so time to switch. Thank you very much, Josh. I thoroughly
thank you.
enjoyed this.
And Josh, you shared your Parsec name there. If you want to be make a friend request to IGDATC, I can approve you, and then you can pop in on one of the next games.
Yeah, because who's up next?
Well, first I gotta drop a couple of links here. A ton of game videos in the Eternal Exodus subreddit there, if you want to check that out.
Ooh.
And then also, of course, eternalexodus.com. Up next, though, we have in our very own event stage chat room here. And by the way, Josh, you can feel free to stick around if you want to kibitz at all on Eric's game here. But we have Eric Super Moose, who's going to share a game with us that he's been teasing. There we go. We got it up on the stream. He's been teasing in the MSP Game Dev chat for like 4 months now. Has really cool artwork, very nice animations, and from my first experience, like some good sound effects and some very crisp gameplay. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play this. It's called Stoneblood: Journey to the Heart of the Mountain. Super Moose, you want to talk to us a little bit about the origins here?
Sure thing. Thank you very much. The Stoneblood, it's very heavily inspired by the Avatar worlds. And I kept looking at the Earthbenders in Avatar and thinking, man, this would just be a great puzzle mechanic for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to move stuff
a little
around
bit.
and build stuff. It's really good for that.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's
it's
cool.
like permanent. It's the only one of the bendings in that world that can legitimately change the world forever.
Mhm.
Like if you move water, if you move air, if you move fire, it's like whatever. But you build a city, and that's gonna stay there for a while.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
I mean,
the
water can
inspiration-
wash it clean, but it will take hundreds of years.
right, exactly. And then the water evaporates after that, and there's just nothing. There's not
Right,
even
right.
that.
Right, it's additive, right? It's not just the
Right.
destructive power.
And so I was thinking, how great is it if you're talking about the ability to shape stone, to move boulders, like how classic a mechanic in an RPG is push boulders, push them onto a switch, push them into a gully to make yourself a bridge. It's just this, like, it's integral to RPGs, to top down, to platformers, whatever you need. And suddenly, like, this idea of just, okay, well, now you can control the levels. What happens when the main puzzle mechanic is you sort of rebuilding the levels there?
Ooh. So, Mark, are you playing this now?
I am playing, yeah.
Okay. I will mention, since we have the build, if somebody else wants to jump on to play, follow the instructions at... It's on the upper left. bit.ly.something. Or if Josh, who is just done showing his game, wants to jump on and do this, that's also a very easy transition if they're still on voice chat. So,
Yep,
Mark,
I'm
what are you pressing to grow those rock crystals?
So I looked at the controls and I thought I remembered them all, but I don't know that I did. So right now, south button, west button, it's a little bit too cute, I think. That's my first bit of feedback. Also, camel case, which is not going to be understood by most gamers, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and I was like, oh, south button, that's a weird name for it. And I'm like, oh no, the actual problem is lowercase s capital B. That's the actual problem with it.
Okay.
So the right shoulder button is you do a stance, and then if you jump from there, you pull up some stone from the ground. So it looks like the thing I didn't get was left stick.
Whoa.
You can kind of
you
clear
can,
it
like,
away.
If you
Yeah.
just
Smash it
hold
back into
down,
the-
you clear it, yeah.
Ah.
And then the longer you hold it, the wider an area it'll clear away.
Oh.
This is sort of
Oh.
my playground jungle gym level that I've built to let you play around with all the different types of moves.
Can you get those green crystals, which I'm assuming is like kryptonite, right?
Yeah, you got to stance and then like kick them.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So stance, then I can then react. Oh, okay.
So Eric, is it possible to clear a brick once you've created it?
It's possible to clear the summoned bricks. You can't actually clear like the levels beneath you.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, like I'm like currently have my own like instance of the game spun up over here, and I'm having a real hard time doing that. How do you do that?
Just hold down, or if you're using mouse keyboard, hold S, and then you'll kind of smash everything away from you.
Oh, okay, that's super cool.
Okay, so
And then
now
the every move has two versions. So if you've got if you're playing with your controller, your left button X on an Xbox controller is going to be like punch, Y is going to be kick, but then if you stance before you punch, then you throw a boulder. If you stance before you kick, then you summon a wall in front of you, or summon a bridge over a gap.
Ooh, that's cool.
Unfortunately, I was looking for a way to like stack up, because I can see above me here there's and I imagine some of these are just this is your playground level, but I'm sort of imagining to build up a wall, but it doesn't seem like you can actually build.
You can stance multiple times to increase the strength of your jumps or increase the size of the walls that you summon.
Whoa!
Okay.
Oh, that's incredible.
I don't think there's a ton of cues there for that, and I'm trying to think of like, because I like it, but so there's 3, and then that gets you 2.
I do like
times.
the
If I hit the stance button 4 times, then it just resets it, and there's nothing happens.
Then you go back away from your stance mode at that point.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be a little bit presented a little clearer to players.
Definitely.
Okay, so I like that when you stance, it makes cracks, like you're pulling rock out of the rock in order to make more rock or a boulder that you throw. I think that's pretty cool art-wise. What was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say, so being in this level and seeing that there's rocks that are above things and then back, it looks like there's fire and more rocks. Maybe this is the game that should really say, "Welcome to Hell, kid."
Well, when you go to the inside, the heart of a mountain, really, I mean, what's in there that could be, powering the whole mountain, if not fire and lava and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do the stance a maximum of 3 times, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Mark,
Okay, so there are just some jumps that you just obviously can't do, so don't keep trying to like rocket yourself up.
Yeah, and you can't stance on top of a created boulder, which feels a bit of a bummer.
It is a bummer. Like, I wasn't sure. That's something I'm still playing with. It's easy to just say, yeah, you can stance here too.
Yeah, but then like, is that just OP or?
Right. Like at that point, you're just playing Minecraft creative mode.
Oh yeah. The thing is, this is definitely a game where the level design is going to have to, like, you can come up with a bunch of the controls, and then the level design is going to have to follow rules to make that make sense. Or you can come up with levels, and then you have to gear the controls to make sense for that.
And I'm leaning towards building the controls first and building the levels to kind of match that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're playing this character that throws around rocks and rebuilds the levels they're in, that has to be fun no matter what you're doing. That has to feel good. That has to be something that you want to do. And then whatever the levels end up being, you'll play that because that's what you want to do.
Wait a second. So after doing this
you
loop...
can stand on the kryptonite?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, you can. Heck yeah.
Wall jump.
Yeah, so there's a wall sticking if you stance when you're against the wall, because then you're like grabbing onto the wall there too.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, and you can just scale them infinitely that way. Oh, that's cool.
You can.
Oh, that's rad.
So I will say that I appreciate that you did not use the papyrus font.
You're thinking of the wrong avatar.
Whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Appreciate it no matter what.
Uh-huh.
All right, I have a minor league beef. I feel
All
like
right.
it's kind of weird that the character can't fit in 1 unit tall gaps.
It can.
Can he slash she slash they?
Yeah, she absolutely can.
Are you for real? Okay, hold on. I
Maybe
must have
you're
just
just
like
bad at
created for
games.
myself a little situation that wasn't actually 1 tall.
Oh, so go in here. Mark,
Hmm?
see if you can go under. Yep. Mark did it just fine. I don't know what your problem is. Like,
Yeah, you can just walk under that. So then, all of this like wall summoning, you're doing the jumping wall summoning a lot. You can also, if you press the kick button, Y if you've got an Xbox controller. If you're next to the edge of a cliff, then you'll actually summon a bridge out over the cliff.
That bridge is sweet.
Mark, will you please
Oh.
do this so the people can see it?
Right, because no one can see what Lane's up to. Okay, what do I need to do?
So walk up to the edge of that, and then stance up and use your kick attack, the top button on the controller.
You mean it's the north button, Mark?
okay.
There we go.
North button, yeah. And so that's how you can build bridges around the area. And again, since there's only 3 levels of stance, that gives me the ability to make gaps that you can still see on the other side, but you won't be able to jump to, even if you use the bridge. And so you can kind of like foreshadow, do a looping level where you can come back and build a bridge the other way, but you can't do it one direction.
Cool.
So I noticed that the stance, the dispel, the down, works different from all the other ones. So it's like you can't charge up before you do it. You have to like do it and then start charging it up. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and so I played around with that a little bit. I'm very open to whether or not that's just kind of jarring in that way. But
it was confusing. I don't like dislike it now that I'm used to it.
Yeah, the benefit of it is you can't stance when you're on a summoned wall. And so if you couldn't stance, then you can't clear that wall away, and you could theoretically wall yourself into a corner. And so if I want to keep it so that you're able to stand on your unsummoned stuff to dispel them, then I need you to be able to do it when you're not stanced. And that's definitely a difference, though.
Ooh, you can like clear upwards by jumping while you're shrugging. That's kind of cool. You have to solve so many little problems while you're making. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So one of the things about the 3 levels of stance, and then the 4th, sort of leaving it alone. The thing that feels weird about it to me is that it doesn't feel like a power that would cycle. Like if I wanted to stance once and then back away from my stance, I can't do that unless I stance 2 more times or walk somewhere. And so it feels a little inconsistent as to what I'm able to do. It feels like I'm just engaging with a machine rather than doing something as a player. I think maybe a solution to that would be because when you hold down to clear, you have to hold it. Why don't you just hold down stance, and then there's like a bum bum bum, and then you stay at full stance. And if you let go of the stance button, that's when it clears it.
That is a very good solution to it. I guess the question I'd have is what do you think that would do? Would you want that in combat? In a playground situation like this, it's great. Would you be willing to hold that to do your multiple stances, to do like a more powerful boulder throw or something like that in combat?
Absolutely, I think I would. I think.
Okay.
I mean, mileage may vary. I guess the playtesters might disagree, but I think the click 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 feels too finicky if I need to be on. I guess part of it too is that why would I ever do a 1-level stance when a 3-level stance is available to me? Like, there's part of that is kind of what I'm getting at too. Like, I would almost this game could be reworked where you just have stance and not stance. Like, I could see. I don't think the game would be any less in that situation. And then it could be a case of like a temporary power up gives you a more power so you can jump higher, and then that could be part of the level design. But I like the idea of holding down a button and pressing down another button. I feel that feels very... I can do that at speed when I'm attacking enemies. Kind of like a B button run kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Whereas, like, pressing buttons in sequence feels more like safe cracking, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just more about the feel of it.
Yeah,
you know,
are you going for
neither of
a
it's any more
combo
difficult to
execution?
execute exactly. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, and mistakes are more... the mistakes you make, you could more easily blame on yourself, I think. I think you kind of have to design controls in a way that players, even when it is their fault, they don't always feel that it is. And sometimes you you have to design it so that it's so unambiguous that they are you know, and so you end up kind of having to make something that's like a little bit simpler.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so I wanted to read through the comments in the chat, just because I know that when you watch this on YouTube later, they don't show up. So, Big Culture says, as a programmer, I like the camel casing, but I think the presentation is kind of at odds with the content. I actually like the south button, north button idea, etc., because it makes the input feel more archaic, like the world. But camel casing it makes it feel very programmy, which is more of a modern thing. Not that camel casing is a more modern thing. Cinnabon Art says, is there some kind of limitation to how many rocks you can build? And the answer was yes, 3 levels of stancing. Ninja Tito says the transition between animation looks really smooth and fluid, and Big Culture says big agree to that. And then Big Culture says, I was thinking the same thing that Mark just mentioned also. I don't know when. If there was a reason not to do the full stance, I would probably just end up doing it every time. Big Culture goes on to say, I'm kind of thinking of it like a classic platforming button mechanic where the longer you hold it, the higher you jump, and most people just mash ever-loving crap out of it every time.
Right, yeah.
I was also going to say that I really enjoy the dispel stance animation.
Yeah.
It's like you're pulling it back in.
100% credit to my artist Nick Scar, who lives out in New Zealand, actually. So he's wide asleep right now. And
good job, Nick Scar.
yeah, he's been the one doing all of the character animations on this, and he's just blown it out of the water. It's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Special bonus points to Mark or Dale if you can find the blue background part of the game.
The what now?
The blue background part of the game?
What? It's Mark.
Eric knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. I was going to ask about the green glowing, I'm going to call it kryptonite.
Yeah.
Do you have any special plans for that? Ooh.
That's fun.
Sorry. Distracted by the fact that the rock was eaten up by the other rock?
Yeah, I have it so that the moving platforms carry the platforms you summon on them, but right now I only have it that they can carry one. And so if you get a whole selection, like if you build a tower or something, you can see it up above. It's only moving one back and forth, and the other's stuck.
You know,
so that'll get fixed. But.
One thing I think, and this is just your playground level, so there's not really a commentary on that exactly. But thinking about going forward, I'm thinking about how the level is built up of blocks, which is a real, very standard platformy thing.
Yeah.
And the character is maybe a little bit small. Like, I think the character feels small to this scale.
Do you think that she should be too high?
No. I mean, that's neither here nor there. You could, it's, and so what I mean to say is that I think what you want to do for level design is a much more naturalistic Bezier curve kind of level design, and less about platforms and blocks. Sure. A little more Ori in the Blind Forest than Sonic the Hedgehog. In terms of, I mean, it's neither here nor there because this is just the test thing, so it's not like it represents exactly what you're going for. But thinking about how you're designing for like how high a jump is, and it creates having a more organic level design gives you some burdens because you have to make sure everything is within the correct units of whatever without it being too obvious to the player. But I think that would, given the art style and the fact that you are molding the world. Because the blocks you create don't snap to a grid, I don't see why anything should be on a grid. Now, the other hand of that is you could make the blocks snap to a grid and make it really, really grid-based, because then it becomes more like it becomes a more intuitive puzzle game at that point. So either direction is good. I'm feeling very in between right now.
Do you think, Mark, that the way that like New Super Mario Brothers does it, where there is grid-based, but like neither the characters nor the blocks that you create do snap to the grid, do you think that is a flawed way of doing it?
No, I think that's pretty good, but I think that goes to my first comment about how the character here feels very small. The scaling of the blocks are such that Mario is one block wide and 2 blocks
absolutely
tall. And so that makes it a lot more naturalistic, because then you're like, here I'm at the far end of a block, here I'm at 30% of the block, here I'm at 50% of the block. That's a little bit too finicky.
I agree. One thing I want to add to this was, based on the size of the character, is that for in a game where the precise position that you're at matters quite a bit, because oftentimes there's these block wide platforms.
Right.
Yeah. I found it a very strange choice that you have the analog stick be completely dead in the middle, and then as soon as you move past 50%, then the character moves at 100% speed. I would be very tempted to experiment with having it slowly scale up as you press over.
Yeah, that's a platforming. That's like a problem all platformers face. Sometimes you want a more digital control. I don't see this as a precision platformer, but I kind of agree with you. There should be a slow, fastest. And if that's just
I'm just trying to excuse why I was falling to my death so much, and I know I would do it if I had that.
Yeah, it's. I think what it is, it's that in betweenness that it feels right now. It's like I really like a digitally focused, very grid based kind of movement. I think that's a really good way to do like a precision platformer in particular, and puzzle platformers especially. I also like a real naturalistic, very analog control, very Super Mario 64 kind of thing with more naturalistic level design. Ori and the Blind Forest is the go-to example, because the art style kind of has a little bit of a similarities in terms of tone to this, but it's not maybe the best comparison. I like that too. I think right now I'm feeling like there's not we haven't quite decided one way or the other on some of those dimensions. I don't have a real strong opinion on what would be best for this game. I think you could go multiple ways with it, and they'd be equally interesting and good.
Yeah, with the. I think you hit the nail on the head in that I've been switching back and forth. I started out only having my keyboard. I actually didn't have a working controller for it at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why everything started out with 100% move or no move, because that's all I had. That was my input.
I mean, that's a good enough reason to make that choice. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be thoughtfully considered. It could just be that's the choice you made, and it's good, and you make something cool out of it.
And,
welcome back to the
Dale.
stream, Cinnabon. All right.
Welcome. And the crystals that you were asking about before, those are just they're there as sort of a decoration. I thought it was cool to have an interactive lighting element in the world that you could destroy.
Yeah, the lighting's pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm starting to use them as like switches now. Where you can destroy the crystals, and then like if you throw a boulder, that destroys crystals. And if you hit a crystal with the boulder, then you can activate moving platforms, or you can open a door, using that as sort of like the puzzle triggers there.
Oh yeah, and of course being able to put those together and like activate things. Very cool.
Yeah.
Hello? Is it working now? Okay, good.
Okay.
All
This
good.
is Cinnabon.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How is everybody?
Oh, just peachy keen.
Good.
Pretty good.
Welcome
Very excited
to
for your
the chat
TVCon.
stream.
All right, so
Wait, there's little huts going on. I
so
didn't
Super
realize
Moose,
that.
Yeah, the sounds are.
we
really
are
good.
we have about 5 more minutes here. So I'm curious, anything more that you would like to get from us before you head off?
I guess I've just got one other ability to show you, but you got to go all the way to the bottom right of the level in order to use it. So just keep running all the way to the right, over towards that big area full of all of the individual blocks. So I saw you kind of jumping around at the corners here with these diagonal blocks.
Yeah.
If you stance up and use the right button, a B on an Xbox controller, that throws out like an earthquake. And
Yeah, I
that
saw.
will collapse some of the walls around this level.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
Secret door. Ooh.
There's the blue area Lane was hinting at.
Yes, good job.
Yep.
It's so
Okay.
mystical and mysterious. I wonder what the lore is behind that blue.
It's probably
Oh,
where you
let me
get out
tell
of
you,
hell.
Right, yeah.
Oh man, that
Wow.
specific shade of blue, like I see that I see that in my nightmares working with you.
Do you immediately change it to like a sort of off red right away, Mark?
I change it to just 50% gray. Like
Nice.
I don't want to be influenced by a shade, like especially because so many prototype levels that you make have no background and you can't be bothered to put anything there. I just don't. It is a choice that Unity makes for you, and it actually just influences the way it looks. Has kind of
Yeah.
a drabness
sure.
to it. Like I'd rather have something with no opinion, you know. But I'm really anal about colors and color patterns and stuff. So
That's
your
very
your
true.
mileage may vary.
All right. Yeah. So I gotta say, man, I feel like the potential with this moveset is great. I can see why you were so inspired to do this.
Yeah.
To me, I like the thing I'm most excited about is just seeing how sort of the game feel develops from here. Like Mark was saying, like being able to like get some more feedback from when you're charging the moves, and then just playing around with how the moves fit together. But I'm having a great.
Yeah, great to hear.
Oh, the one piece of specific feedback I wanted to mention was I felt like when enemies get hit, they should totally have some sort of like a flash.
Yeah, I kind of just been building in the actual combat pieces. It's not 100% there yet, and yeah, they definitely need to. What they'll probably do is they'll like splay their arms and fly backwards from you once you actually hit them, and do your classic like NES.
Ah.
I'm just closing my playtime out with a little classic game of hoop and stick.
Yeah. And to the question before, you can drop as many things on this world as you want. So all of those cracks are just stacking up on top of each other.
Yeah, that's
'Cause you
going to
were
have to
doing,
be
I
a
think,
dev
super
task at
run
some
earlier.
point. Is dealing because this is what you get with playtesting is like how do you break these systems? and-
Okay. I'm going to start reading the stream chat.
Okay.
So, BitCulture says, I'm kind of thinking that the classic platforming button mechanic with the longer you hold it, the higher you jump, and most people would just... Oh, I read that one already. Okay.
It's a good
By the way,
concept, though.
meanwhile, while she's reading these out,
Round
Mark, feel
stop
free
is
to go over to
awesome.
Nudibranch Ranch.
Okay.
I believe the lore is camera background solid color equals default, but using the
That's pretty
archaic
good
language
lore.
of Stoneblood. Ocular capture devices, unaffiliated hue. Ooh, somebody's looking forward to Glom.
must know more. I must know more. It's so mysterious.
Ooh.
Dale, you should play this one.
Okay, how do I play it?
There's
I don't know.
I know there's mouse and keyboard and gamepad. We'll have to get it.
I would say mouse and keyboard's gonna be the best because
Okay, I
this
can do
was
that.
like just for a little like description here. This is like my first attempt at making something like in 3D, so it's very rough.
Ooh.
I have plenty of stories at the back end.
Okay, so it's called Nubbles.
Yeah, when I first played it, I recruited like 5 dudes to my team and like 3 immediately.
So Dale, I tweaked a
I
little.
loved it.
I played a little bit with this earlier. So there's a little arrow on the left and right. You can choose. This is how you choose your mission. I would say start
Yep.
with the first one.
The other ones don't work, so yeah,
there
start
you
with
go.
the first one.
So yeah, go to
what?
get one. Then hit this one on the bottom of the screen. Once
Hold
you get
on,
to that.
I gotta figure out how to get back to number one.
Dale's distracted already. There's an arrow. Oh, okay, that's fun. I really
Yeah,
like
that's
that
not supposed to
animation.
be there.
That's super cute.
Okay.
That's part of the gameplay scene, I imagine.
Okay, I don't know
Yeah,
how to
let's
get
go.
back to. Oh, mission 4.
Yeah, just no. You're clicking those just click the arrow on the left side until you
Oh.
get to Just go to mission 1 there, and then hit save this one, and then you
Okay.
choose. At this point, you choose your complement of creatures.
You're not supposed to explain this to me. I'm just supposed to go through and do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh wow, I can see
these
it was
ones-
loaded several times.
Oh, okay. I am going to pick a slug with a flower on it. So I'm gonna pick this one.
Just for a little
That
fun
looks-
detail, this is one model that uses blend shapes to shape all the different designs.
Oh wow, that's super clever. Cool.
It was something that I really liked
Flavor?
from the Chow Garden, how they
Mhm.
slowly change over time.
Yeah.
So I tried to build a model that kind of reflected that mechanic.
I like that a lot, and that feels so. That's a piece of like technology that goes really well with like the vibe you're doing with the game too. That's awesome. So I think there's the button on the lower right of that
The
panel.
little orange button.
Yeah, that'll select them. Yeah.
Okay. I want that one. Wait, I want
And I
the-
recommend picking 3 because I think right now it breaks if you pick more than that.
Okay, I'm gonna pick this one.
It's a good
It's
recommendation.
it's a rough thing because I tried a couple different ways to get the mission to go through, and I'll explain that later.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say, I mean, for viewers and for developers who, want to showcase some stuff, I think everyone's a little nervous about, like, how prototypey your prototype is. But I want to see the earliest, most incomplete pieces of stuff on the stream. I think that's where you can get a lot of really good early feedback. And if it's broken or, like, things aren't textured or so, all the better. And so I think people are maybe coming and bringing their stuff when it's a little too polished, in my opinion.
Wait,
Absolutely. Yep.
This is the one that I think looks like a cactus.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I can see it's following around and facing my mouse. So I'm guessing if I go over here, or if I clicking around,
You
using
can
my
use
keyboard. Ooh, I'm using my keyboard.
WSAD key. Oh,
Okay,
there you go.
I'm gonna go and read the sign, I assume.
You think you can read?
Heck.
Well, I guess I'm a slug, so I can't read. Ooh,
No,
there's
before you
brushes.
go much further, if you would hit the tab button,
Ooh, ooh, I can name them.
not here, but later. But if
In
you
your heart.
cycle through each one, they have skills built in that you can add. I don't think any of them work right now, but they do function.
Skill names.
Cool.
Species
Mhm.
cannot be used by it. Okay, I like this so far.
And you can hit tab to close it. And if you use the scroll wheel, you'll cycle through your 3 little buddies.
Oh,
Ooh.
Oh god, okay.
Yes.
Going a little
It's
fast.
good slug.
you know what?
Alright, a little fast.
You know what? My scroll wheel is fast. Okay, now I have the pink
That's
one.
fair.
This is my one that's
Dale will
real
not
good at
apologize for the
stuff,
speed of her scroll wheel.
Real good at stuff and is kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the awareness thing,
Relatable.
I had a very low awareness score. Okay, so it keeps trying to. Okay, so I'm gonna put my thing on my mouse so it looks like I'm going the direction that. Oh, run away! I don't know what you are. I don't know what you're gonna do. Are you gonna eat me?
Let it happen,
That
Dale.
was-
I want. We gotta find out.
No, I want this apple. Or is it a pile of tangerines? And this Brussels sprout, which is probably it's just green. So I'm gonna go with. Okay, let me see.
Oh, they just want to be your friend.
Ooh.
Oh no, they want to attack you.
Aw.
If you click
Oh
the
yeah. Really?
Oh, you're getting attacked back. There's your health bar on the upper right.
That's quite the telegraph. Beautiful.
Ah ha ha! I defeated that one.
Nice. Oh, do you click on them to damage them?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
clicked on them.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, wait. I wonder if I can click on this rock and damage this rock.
In chat,
Or just make more rocks.
someone noted how adorable your sketches for the levels are. In that obviously, I don't think you intend to leave that in the game, but maybe you should because it's super cute.
Oh, thanks. That's just I basically drew the level down on paper first, and I felt really lazy, so I scanned it and threw it in there.
That's
And I used it.
It's so good though.
That's a
works.
great way to actually build your levels. Is just trace them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's we get a little behind the scenes look at it, and then you can see your notations for different objects. I can't quite discern the pattern, but obviously those are notes for yourself. And you can even you can see all the pieces are represented. It's
Go
really
down
cool.
Here.
I'm so with Bit in the chat here that adds like super good.
definitely go with like a papercraft feel, actually.
Yeah,
the
for like a
future.
mini map or something, and you can make and you can certainly make a hand drawn asset for that
These
for a
guys
map.
are friends.
Oh, for
Maybe
sure.
they'll be friends with me.
Oh no, I don't
I
think
don't
they're
think
friends.
so.
Oh, no, run away!
Okay, running away. Oh no, I ran away.
Hey,
Oh, I'm okay. Okay.
can you break those blocks? You think?
Did it? Oh no.
Oh, they're fighting each other.
Oh, one thing I should throw out is I think that everybody has this experience where the default Unity gravity is way slow for everything.
It's real bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Run
It's
away.
very floaty for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have multiplied it by like 20 from mini games.
Yeah, and some
20.
of my future projects, I've done it at like -40 and stuff. It works a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Oh, wait, so. I wanna-
Presumably, your other blobs have skills, perhaps, that might help you with that.
Oh,
Oh, nope,
and
I'm
would they
gonna
have
fall
full
over.
HP? They do. Oh,
Yeah.
no!
Oh no!
The most undignified death.
Yeah,
Okay.
each critter has a separate HP bar.
Ooh, cool.
And the plan is once one goes, as long as you have one available to you, you can still complete the level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice.
So if I go over here and I click on this thing, does it do anything? No.
Not currently.
Okay, what if I hit tab? Will that tell me things? Okay, we're gonna ask. Oh no, we're gonna tab out of that. Oh,
Oh.
nope, I pressed escape instead of tab.
Oh no!
Ooh. While
That's
we're
okay.
loading back in Cinema, I was real curious about sort of, the metagame between levels. Do you collect Nuda branches?
Yes. So here's kind of how the core game loop works. So you go through all these missions and you pick your critters that go with you. Your critters pick certain items like crafting materials, ingredients for cooking, stuff like that, and bring them back. And the idea is you've got the separate section that I've not quite finished yet, where you're playing as like a humanoid, which you'll see when you finish the mission. And they can go on above ground gathering tasks and bring one of the critters with them. And each one kind of gets its own skills, like a swimming skill, breaking rocks, digging stuff, whatever. And you'll use them to explore new areas, unlock different sections on the island, and eventually, kind of create this
looks like a
feeling of
strawberry.
symbiosis that I want to kind of encourage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal your pea. I've decided these are peas now,
Uh-huh.
and no longer are they Brussels sprouts.
I mean, I think to be fair, I don't think it was you who decided they were peas.
Well, I'm calling them peas unless Cinnabon starts correcting me. I won't know any better.
Well, if you look in your backpack inventory, you can see the.
What?
Yeah. Can you plant
It's
those?
seaweed.
Oh, it's
Oh, it's
seaweed.
seaweed.
Oh, see, I thought they were pea
Eventually, yeah.
pods.
I'm so excited for her to get to the end of the mission, because then you get to
Oh,
see
you-
the other section.
Oh, sweet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I better go do that. Run away, run away, run away.
By the
There you go.
way, if you do attack those, do you like get anything from killing enemies?
The original plan was that you got critter meat for it, and
Ooh,
that
I
you
like
would
that.
use for other materials, but that might be a little bit too gruesome. So
Well, each of the critters has a description for their flavor, right? Isn't that what the, isn't that tab menu?
that is their favorite flavor, actually.
Oh, see,
Ooh, not their flavor. Okay.
yeah. I was kind of interpreting
Oh
it
no!
maybe a little
Oh
bit
no!
more.
Oh no, gone.
gruesome
Oh,
than
There you go.
that.
Oh,
Stay alive! No!
You'll have capsule colliders eventually.
Here's my.
oh yeah,
yeah.
it'll be straight.
It'll be
out.
fine. Yeah.
Candies. Oh no! Run away! Run away!
Just
Oh.
buy yourself. You'll try to I'm gonna escape
Oh,
from
no.
these pillars.
Nice!
Okay,
What is
Nice
this?
save.
Escape?
how do I get this? I want
I
this.
don't think that you can do
Oh,
it
I'll
during
just
There's
the-
attack
nothing-
you.
Dale is nesting.
Jump the ravine, Dale. Jump the ravine.
I do not think so. I think I'm gonna. Wah! Ah! Get away from me! Run
By
away.
the way, have you thought about how you're going to animate those attacks?
I have thought about it slightly, where I wanted them to kind of lunge forward a little bit,
Ooh, yes, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I'm making a little bit of a swipe motion, maybe stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh no!
Oh
No!
wow, you almost got knocked off there.
Oh,
Oh
jeez!
no! Oh no.
Going up the hill. Oh no, going up the hill. Ha ha.
All right, now here's where you fell last time.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! Hey! Wow, save of the century. Okay, now
if you
stay away from that
run between those
crowd of mean
gates,
girls
you can
there.
leave.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, look, it's my human.
Okay, so this is kind of again, if you've ever played the Chow Garden, you can like pick up these guys by pressing the E button,
E for
and you'll
for
see their
elevate.
stats. Oh, you gotta be looking right at them.
Okay.
There you go.
This one has a name.
Mm-hmm. And if you hit that
Gus.
second
Oh,
tab,
I'm in love with
you
Gus.
can see a little bit more information.
Oh, this tab?
No, the little tab on the menu, yeah. There you go. And then if you hover over each icon, it'll tell you what it's for and what it does or supposed to do.
Pounce. Press plus activate input here plus something else. I do not know how.
That's some stand-in text, I imagine.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
like, okay, that's okay. I'm gonna put this guy down by pressing E for
R.
R for return to the ground. R for return to the ground. Whatever. Okay, I'm gonna go chase down another one. I think. Okay. E for elevate. R for return to the ground.
So when you were trying to press R, you were looking at someone else. That's why it wasn't working then.
Okay.
I see. Oh my
So-
gosh. Okay.
Okay, so I have to.
Oh, I love that face.
Okay, return to ground. Return to ground. I do not understand. Oh, okay. No, return. You're floating. Ah.
I don't quite know why they're doing that. Actually, it was working fine when I tested
Okay,
that.
well,
But
I'm
in any
going to
case,
call
we learn
this-
new things all the time.
Yeah.
Successful playtest. I found a thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go for this. Green and spiky one. Please elevate. This is Susie. Very good at swimming. These numbers don't match up very well with the bar
Okay,
graphs.
so the number is what level it is, and the bar is the experience and the stat for the next level.
Oh, okay, I was confused about that too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe putting the numbers on the left might be the way to go for that.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Okay, I'm gonna look at this other thing that says swim.
Coin. I think that's so cute.
Okay, let's
Good old
Let's go.
placeholder sprites.
Yep.
let's go dump you in the water. Return.
That's some real slow gravity, or some very thick water.
Yeah, it's
And a very
it's
well balanced character.
Yeah.
Somebody cut off my feet.
I know you don't have this textured, but I really like this beach with the vertical, like it does have a very it's reminiscent of the inspiration, but like it's good. The scale is good. I like that when you're human, like everything is a little smaller. It's a beach, but it's not huge. It's not this vast space to walk
Is
through.
this a cave?
Yeah, later on that's going to be like your player hideout.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I can't go in there yet. Well, that's exciting. Okay, I'm gonna go pick up this one. That's this raspberry one. We'll see if I can. do
There's
it.
also apples that spawn underneath the palm trees, and you can hand them over and feed them to your buddies.
Oh, I will mention that is not the kind of trees that apples come from, but that's.
Oh
cool.
yeah, again, placeholder objects.
I just have to point out everything because I'm a playtester.
No, you're
It's
fine.
it's definitely
E
one of the
for
things with
apple.
playtesting is like a lot of dev art implies world building you didn't intend, and then you have to deal with players who are like, oh, I love that's so cool, apples and palm trees, that's great, and then you're like, well, that wasn't actually an idea I had. Maybe it is now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I got you.
This one's name is Feisty. It likes spicy foods. Okay, hold on. I'm going to pretend like I can shake this tree, which is not a thing you can do. Okay, now I'm just making myself dizzy. I'm going to stop that. Ooh, there's a box over here. I wonder if I can set this on the box. Okay. Returned. Nope. It went to the floor.
well, that was something.
Yeah, I mean, it
There
didn't
he
flow
goes.
like those other ones. Okay, what's over here?
I think I
elevate
can't
you.
quite remember, but I think if you hit E in front of the box, you can open it.
Okay, return.
Again.
Okay, let me go elevate a box. Or, I don't know if you guys are like this, but I can't remember stuff.
Well, after breaking clay pots, Dale's favorite thing to do in video games is punch boxes.
That's true. Okay, E for elevate. It is not E for elevate. It must be something else. And it's not R for return. So I'm going to put Q for cutify. And that didn't do it either.
Cannot remember. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But it's just another inventory box. It's not a... Oh, God,
Oh.
that camera.
Yeah.
This is honey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to elevate the honey. Okay.
I wonder what the camera's colliding
You can
with as
press
you back into it.
O to add it to your inventory. It's all those fun coding mistakes I was talking about before.
Ooh, okay. Nope. Now I'm pressing tab and now I don't have it. But that's cool. What's this thing?
That's the thing you just added to your inventory.
That's my honey?
Yeah, it looks like sort of a honeycomb kind of looking thing.
Oh, I gotcha. I was hoping it was a spiky yellow slug thing.
Maybe it's a sponge to clean up all that colorful graffiti that's around this checkerboard beach.
Yeah, X has been here a lot.
Prolific tagger, yeah. This lake is just doused with honey. I love it.
Okay, hold on. E for elevate. Elevating the honey. Oh, I'll put it in the thing. Okay, now I got two. This seems to work differently than the other one when I was eating all that peas/seaweed, and then I got numbers next to it instead of taking up a slot in my backpack.
Yeah,
Yes,
how much of the human
because-
control is going to be similar to the
Okay, I will say that items can stack when you're a human. The problem is that honey is a placeholder for dye. So the idea was later you would be able to dye the nubbies different colors.
Oh.
Aha.
Oh, look, there's a secret,
That's
toolkit.
the access to the mission screen. If you hit Y, you'll be able to go back.
Okay, let's do that. Y. Y for yes, another one. Okay, and mission 1 is the only one that works, right?
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna play that one again. Okay, who will I send? Probably this guy. Yeah, definitely that guy.
Oh, get that that sea green, that sort of pukey green one in the upper right.
This one?
That one looks like it needs some love.
Okay.
There you go.
This earth tone one.
It has lots of health.
That's great.
Or it's on its way to level 2 of health anyway.
Okay. And then how about this one that's really smooth and purple?
It's just a flavor of sour. It's like I it's like I'm like it's
Let's go.
It's a sour one. Don't eat it.
Okay.
Like little strange
Let's-
flavored gummy bears.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, there we go.
Mm.
Okay, so
All right,
here-
Slimkey in the chat, I think, has one of my favorite suggestions today, that they should leave adorable trails, rainbows, bubbles, flowers, or something.
Oh,
That would
like
be
like
really
snail
cute.
slime, but like adorable.
I am
Oh,
definitely
I like
jotting
it.
that down.
Oh,
Like
that is
that
so
a lot.
cool.
Okay.
Little slug trails with different color. Oh my gosh.
And you know, you have these enemy patrol routes. Like that would be a way to, depending on how you do your level geometry in future levels, it'd be like a sign,
yeah.
like, oh, one of them's been here, and the pattern in the slime can let you know a little bit about what you're coming up against.
I think in this build it's broken, but under normal circumstances you can go to that nest back there
Damn
and
it.
pick up the egg, and when you finish the level and come back, you'll have another egg in your ranch.
Ah, okay. And so that's part of the gameplay loop, is really just to like
Yeah.
is
Oh,
to
okay.
sort of
Did you see
build
that?
your stable of nubbies.
My the pink one was yep, it just came out of that pole.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, sneaky.
I just saw that.
The yellow ones are
Okay.
known for stealth.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna. Oh no!
So-
I need to switch my person.
Cinnabon, can you tell us a little bit about the expected like game loop here? I kind of like feel like I understand the environment where you're a human, but here is it like, what do you think is the focus here on combat, on exploration, on collection? Like, what is the focus of the gameplay going to be here?
I think it's going to be a focus on like exploration and kind of collecting things, because the idea is you can get certain items that only these creatures can get, and there are certain items that only the humans can get. And the idea is that you combine them together later and kind of build up and like progress the village or whatever kind of story scenario you've got to kind of help you create a situation, at least narratively, where it's like, okay, you've got these creatures, they're really cool by themselves, but they're even better with your help.
Yeah.
I almost wonder, like, man, and obviously, like, there's just so much I don't know about where you're going, so I'll be as humble as is appropriate. But what I wonder is, at this point, I kind of like wonder if the stats are like really deserve my attention as a player. Like, would like, how important are like attack stats and that sort of thing gonna end up being?
Okay, so a little bit of explanation. I think you're right. I think there's definitely a way that I could probably nix that all together. But the idea was, once you leveled up enough, like say strength goes to level 10, you can add a skill point into those skills that you saw in that other menu, all the coins, and you get one of those. And each creature's lifespan only has 3 unless you do breeding, and you can get extra points through that. So you've got like a lineage of this creature's, I don't know, the 5th in its generation. So that one has 8 points, whereas the ones you started with only had 3. So you can slowly build up these skills, and it kind of encourages maintaining long lifespans and kind of genetic trees.
Yeah, there's a very much like a sort of farming, like having. I'm not a big proponent of putting lots of stats in any game, frankly, but a cozy game like this, where you want to spend a lot of time in, like it feels like having a bunch of things to occupy your time.
Sure,
feels like a good move. I think that the key is to justify them as more than just cookie clicker variety. That
right.
To have them interact is the way you describe. So I could see the best version of this game having a lot of that going on, but I could also see it being very much more like a nubby has its stats, and just the extreme variety of nubbies in the world is what provides the complexity.
For sure.
I think there's a bunch of different ways you could take it.
Stay away from me, jerk.
Absolutely.
Dale, you're gonna terminate the population of this entire level?
No, I was just moving around, and I was gonna see if I could push someone off the edge.
Yeah, can you move them at all?
No.
No.
I got nothing.
They can move you.
Also, I would prefer if the enemies did not look so much like my characters.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, like I mean, there's a lot of the moral implications of, say, Pokemon or something that is people are just happy to ignore. But I think you maybe before you get to that point where people have to forgive it, you could come up with if they are going to attack each other, what is the ecosystem?
There's so many. Run away, run away.
Quick, go through the goal.
What are the
Damn,
What are the oh, look at that one was stuck under that pole again. Oh my gosh.
Get wrecked.
Go, run away, run
Dale,
away.
why? Oh.
Are you stuck, Dale? Oh wow.
You might be.
Ah.
Oh my God.
Whoa!
Okay.
Not today.
Look, I made it.
All right.
Sick. #1 playtester.
Very nice.
All right, folks. We should transition over to the next game in the next couple minutes. Any final thoughts?
No, but I was gonna ask Lane, do you want to read the stream chat just so that we have it on the YouTube channel?
100%. Yeah, we'll go through these here. Dale's hugs just teach them to fly. Bit Culture has a lot to say, and he's been saying some great stuff throughout this whole thing. But he's the character totes Dorbs. That's what the kids say, right? Let's see. Slumkey says that the water is possibly nice raspberry jello. Let's see.
See that?
Especially because it sings so slowly in it. It's raspberry jello.
There you go.
Ickmeister says, I want to feed the cute amoeba. I think that we all did. Slimkey had his awesome comment about the trails, and then that was pretty popular with a lot of other people. Ickmeister asks, whoa, does the white slug have an AoE attack?
It's not visualized, but every creature has a sort of AoE. You've got like a 3-hit combo.
Mm.
So you do like a left swipe, a right swipe, and then a big center swipe in the middle. And that's kind of what you were seeing. Every attack kind of has that AoE effect.
I guess I'm just gonna like plagiarize myself from the last game. I would say this game seems like it. The next step that I'd like to see is just like some game feel to like make it obvious what's going on.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Slemkey has a entirely not self-promoting comment here. He says, "Ooh, Skies had a fun but simple gene splicing game. You could totally steal that." And I would say do that because that game is very, very.
I'll definitely check it out.
Let's see. Ickmeister says bumper nubbies.
That's pretty
and then, yeah. Duke of Dummies says my girlfriend thinks that she's got pretty good taste. Big Culture says there. And Slemkey has a link to the gene splicer mechanic. Excuse me, can we not giggle while we're reading super chats here?
Sorry, the there is actually a grammatical or spelling correction. It's just funny you just said it as.
Yeah, I didn't know how self-aware you were when you said
Big
that.
Culture says there.
I was trying to just read the relevant stuff.
There.
There. Anyway, speaking of Duke of Dummies, I wonder if you would like to join, because he helped make the next game that we have here. Well, I should say before we're done with this, any other questions you want to throw out to any of us?
Oh, no, I think it's good.
Otherwise, this next game has
real
multiplayer.
Quick, I want to thank you for bringing it in, and for watching Dale struggle through it. I know it's, but also I hope you bring it back. I want to see this at the next step and see where it goes, because I think there's a whole category of cozy, wholesome games, but the diversity of influences, I think, has not yet been fully tapped, and so I like where you're going with this one, and I can't wait to see the next bit of it.
It was kind of created because there was a lack of that kind of game in the genre. So.
Yeah, cool, very cool. Would you like to stick around, because the next one I know is a multiplayer game, right?
Okay, and we have to tell the Duke of Dummies how to hop on the stream.
There you go.
Lane's on it.
Yeah, all right. Typing rudely here on air.
Yeah.
All right.
Should I just put a bunch of theirs in the chat for you?
There you go.
There we go. It's the only word that I can read.
Just clear it.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Cinnabon. You said...
Oh, no, you're good.
Yes, you would love to stick around, or no, you have to go feed your cat.
I will stick around for a little bit
longer,
yes.
I just make up things that I think you should be doing. That seemed urgent to me.
Oh, man. Okay, we got to go over to Parsec quick.
Yeah, so I just started this just so we'd have it on screen, but we can restart it once we get everybody connected. Because, Lane, this is a prototype that you worked on some time ago. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, it was like early. The world was a different place. And so this was me and some like roommates who like had never like done game development before.
Ooh.
And what was fun about this is that the ideas were completely out of nowhere, and we ended up doing something that is, I think, difficult and weird. And what this is it's a top-down game where you're playing it's a stealth PvP game. And so you see in the middle, there's the torch. Whoever is carrying the torch is earning points, and when you get to 100 points, you win. The other players are trying to stab that person and steal the torch away from them. The dark portions of the screen are 100% opaque, so you can actually hide in there you can move quickly, but you'll make noise, and that will be visually represented on the screen so that they'll give a clue to where you are. And so your idea is to balance speed and stealth to try to get to a position where you can be the person to stab the person with a torch and start earning points yourself. You also whenever you.
What was that last part?
You also win points when you kill somebody.
Okay, so I was gonna put this question out to the chat because Lane's dropping off in and out for me, so we're missing some words. If that is also true on the Twitch stream.
It probably is.
Yeah. Ooh. How do I get to be a player? Stop. Ah.
Dale, I'm going to take mouse and keyboard control away from you, so stop moving.
I don't know if I can do that. Okay, I'm not touching anything now.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
I'm imagining, Lane, this is a gamepad, principally, game, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so right now, I'm connected, Dale's connected, and you're connected. How do you join the game, or do we need to restart the build?
Okay. Great. Yeah. If you're connected, you should hit start on a gamepad in order to join.
Okay, I'm going to turn on my gamepad, and
Scott Lemke knows some nice soft shadows when he sees them. They are super fast as well.
Okay, here I am, the yellow player.
Oh yeah, can I be a player? Oh, I press menu. Ooh, oh, I'm this green player who started out in the yellow.
All right, so you can see the.
Yep. So pressing most buttons starts a charge, and if you hit another player during the charge, you will kill them. Additionally, there's two other commands. You can hold down left bumper to move more quickly, but you'll use stamina. And then you can use left trigger to throw a rock, and that can just like be useful for making distracting sounds.
Ooh. Nice attack there.
Thank you.
Nice.
I didn't know where I was.
Okay.
I was like,
So Nadale is at 32 points, and she will win at 100.
Ooh, good. Okay, I'm gonna go in here. 'Cause then I think I'll see. Oh, run away! Run away! Ah!
Whew. Okay.
Wait, what happened there?
Oh, okay.
I charged you as you were walking through the door.
Oh, okay. So if you have the torch, you are not altogether that vulnerable. You're just slower.
That is correct. Yeah, you're slower, you recover slower, and you're visible. Oh, so I did not see you, Yellow. And so like there were as we've been playing, I feel like it's at the stage where, to me, it's not quite fun. It's not quite a thing that I would be excited to work on long term.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, what do you folks feel? And also, do you what would you do to fix some of the design issues that we have? Like one of the issues is it's so hard to tell where you are when you're in the shadows. Oops.
Yeah, I think that's a cool feature. I think.
I think it's a feature.
Yeah, I like it. You know what you should look at is Nintendo Land, the Luigi's Mansion Nintendo Land minigame. This has this reminds me a lot of that. Dale, do you remember that game?
I remember you playing that. I also remember it reminds me of the Ghost game more than that on Wii U.
I think that's the one I'm thinking
Incidentally, Mark should win right now, but there is no victory condition, so you can hit Control R if you want to restart.
I don't. I want to continue racking up points.
I don't know where I am.
Yeah, I like you can kind of get a sense of where people are when they reveal themselves, and then you kind of like, I have this much time until I don't know where they are anymore. Like, I can see you coming.
Oh, jeez.
And I like that the doors kind of keep lingering.
Dale, no, we can talk.
Dale, no, we can talk.
No, Dale, no, please. No.
Yeah. Okay. Uh-oh, I see somebody coming. They're coming for me.
Yeah, that's the one thing, is that like when you see someone popping out of the corner like a whole bit away from you, you kind of.
Also, it looks like you're breathing fire when you have the torch.
It does look a little bit like that.
Oh, yeah. That would have to be
So so it seems like when I slam into something like a wall, then I get my...
Shoot.
I knew when you were gonna do that, and so I was trying to like get out of the way preemptively.
Please.
Nice one,
Looks
Dale.
like I'm breathing fire.
Oh, now Dale has 106. We've all won. We're all winners.
Yay!
Yay.
This is up to 4 players, I imagine.
Correct, yeah.
We do have some folks still in chat if they want to replace any of us or join us.
Well, anyway, I was gonna say that the ghost game is not Luigi's Mansion. You like dress up as a ghost, and it's like a Mario Land thing.
Oh.
And the player who's the ghost has the Wii U gamepad, and everybody else has the regular controllers.
Yeah, that's the Luigi's Mansion theme.
Oh, it's themed. It's
That was a
actually...
great move, Mark. That was cool.
So the one thing I'm getting is that you have the right bumper, but then you can also use the X button, and so you get like 2 charges. I don't know if that's on purpose.
Oh, interesting.
So I've been exploiting that pretty heavily.
So if you press the same button twice in a row, it doesn't let you do that? Is that?
That's correct.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Somebody
I feel like it should be
asked
consistent.
me.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you sort of got you have 2 charges. They just happen to be
So,
on different
bit
buttons.
culture. I have a bone to pick with you, sir. You're saying
Whoa!
display where you are to you, but make you invisible to the other players. How would you do that?
Where the Wii U
How?
gamepad is how you do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Online
There we
only
go.
playing.
Let's just add $100 to each person.
Yeah.
I think that was in response to my chat there above, is that if this moved to an online game versus a local game, you might be able to show that for the active player.
Oh,
you
sure.
would never get lost.
Yeah, I like that.
Beth, please, no. No.
Ah, damn it!
Have you considered being faster, Dale?
Have I? What?
See you, nerd. Sucker. You can hold down right bumper to move faster.
I know. I just can't aim.
Maybe you should get better at that.
Oh, I'll
man.
get better at the game. Sure.
My controller has started vibrating and won't stop.
Oh, if you walk into a wall, that's supposed to be like the one way to navigate. Where if you walk into a wall, it'll vibrate. But it's doing that nonstop now.
I think what happened is I lost a little
those
control
are-
over.
The white things are lights. I get it now.
Yeah.
Oh!
I'm a dummy. Oh no.
Oh, the I don't know that I love the "you're dead." I feel like that's-
Excuse me.
I thought that. Oh, that's not me. I died.
Also, I think that what this game could use is a larger variety of movesets.
Okay.
I feel like
yeah.
because your goal is really just to get close enough to do a. Like what I want is here. Stop for a second. Let me get close to you.
Sure,
And
yeah.
now start running away from me. I want a lot of this.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
interesting.
Where I like swing my sword or something and just keep missing you by 3 pixels. I think that would be a lot of fun and a lot of a lot of those kinds of moments. Whereas as it happens, I can pretty much get you just as soon as I'm within range of visibility to you. So there's not a lot of defense that you can do from me. So the game seems to be happening in there's more strategy than tactics. I guess is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, and it would be so interesting. Like offhand, it would be fun, but it easily could be way more fun than what we're doing. And I like it. That's
maybe the boost is just like 3 steps at speed, not like a full. So you can only use it when you get pretty close, and it's a it'd be more likely where you'd miss or you'd fall short, right? There'd have to be like am I close enough to do the dash? Because then once you do the dash, then you're slow for a little while or something.
Because it's hard to figure out where you are and where you're aimed when you're doing the dash. Okay, I'm gonna read some of the chat. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Ickmeister, who says, "Haha, did you say lag?" Big Culture says,
yeah, I think that is one of the lines. Is the like orcs line?
Big did I pronounce that right?
Oh, oops.
Okay, Bit Culture says, "I love all the idle threats. Haha, I think this looks really fun, like a dark party game." Bit Culture says for adults, see, but it's not too dark, like cartoony dark, but it's also like actually dark. Ickmeister says if this was online versus local play, you could show where the active player is. It also might have some of the getting lost in the dark. Bit Culture says carrot. Bit Culture says, yeah, like just display where you are to you, but make you invisible to the other players. Yeah, but if it was online, like Ick said. And Lane, just so you know, there's a lot of people ahead of you with a bone to pick with me. It might be a while. Bring a book. Oh, yeah. Mark's idea with the shorter dash with a slight cooldown is a great idea. And then I think we are up to current.
Nobody here, Mark. There's nobody here.
Oh, no?
Oops.
Well, I will say that I stopped playing because I have a secret plan to run off and use the restroom.
See, I think giving me the ability to attack you is probably also not good. I should be extremely vulnerable with the torch.
That seems like a great point. Yeah, if nothing else, we should absolutely experiment with that first.
I'd really like to see the level doing more too. Turn this into like a classic party game, like a Mario Party or something, where
spotlight sweeps.
The lights turn on every 30 seconds, and like explosions happen, and the walls move, and all that kind of stuff.
I did want to welcome to the chat somebody who will have some comments there, I'm sure. I don't know if your audio is Cody, but Cody was responsible for some of the level development here. Mm-hmm. And I know he was big on some level stuff. So I don't know if you want to talk about, like, Cody?
You're very quiet.
Very quiet.
I already
you might be coming in through the wrong microphone, Cody.
No, I'm coming in
through a windstorm out in a field.
Oh no.
Ouch.
I mean, we can hear you clearly. It's just very quiet. I don't know how listeners on the stream are getting it, but as long as we're taking a minute here, is there anybody in chat who wants to go through the parsec rigmarole and give it a go?
Sure, Moose can hop on it.
Oh, that'd be great.
No. For the level design, what we really wanted to do was make as much of the lighting as possible change and morph and make things look a lot more dynamic, because we wanted to try to make it look like everything had some moving shadows somewhere.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure that we had swinging doors, simply because that really made the torch light and all of the other lights just all the more eerie and ominous.
Yep. And even the fluorescent lights on the walls, they sort of dim and grow. I think some flickering there would help, but I like that it's like right now they're at their lowest and then they're getting now to their largest, and so you could use that strategically, like wait in a corner and then move when the dark space is a little larger.
Yeah. I know one thing that we wanted to do, but never got around to it, was we wanted to add in more false positives.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to add in some mice that might scurry across an area.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because Lane did a beautiful job with just the stuff, all the sound effects. On this level, I don't think we had them on this level, but we had some steel barrels that would screech as you bumped them.
Oh damn.
That was sick. I forgot about that, Cody.
Yeah, I don't think we ever put it into this level. We also messed around with some bottomless pits too. I remember we had some physics.
Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Just to add in some, give them a little bit of a suction effect and give a slight red glow to the edges, so that everyone could always kind of see where they were. At least they could see it on the edge.
Yeah.
God!
Honestly, so many of the lighting effects that we did, we kind of just stumbled across, those door panels, we actually managed to pull off that effect, removing them from the light engine entirely.
Yeah, one thing is,
way, like, you can see them in the darkness, and you can actually see, when somebody crosses over.
yeah. I will say there's some color science playing in here where if you're blue or red, you have a slight advantage.
Yeah.
Because blue is harder to see in the dark, and red is really easy to see in the dark, but all the walls are red.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some... when you're thinking about a lot of different subtle lighting cues, you have to start thinking about how players... how that color is going to impact that if you're being so precise with that. Do you know what I mean? If the moment you step out of a shadow, you pretty much see a character, then it matters a lot less.
One thing that I was kind of thinking of.
Why do every once in a while, if you're holding the torch, a bunch of circles go out from you?
I don't honestly remember why that is.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's just meant to like, oh, you know what? It's a bug. It's when the torch first appears, it's like a look at me sort of animation. And
yeah.
so because it only has one animation and it loops, you'll see that every like 15 seconds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Right, if you could extinguish the torch, then that would be the noise it makes or whatever. But
I love the idea of the torch carrier not being able to attack. That's so good. I don't know why we didn't.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, I will say, I only suggested it because it's pretty much par for the course for this kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, it's not a creative suggestion, but it's well worn. It works. There could be like an extreme risk to the player to who has the torch to try to attack. That you could play a little bit with that, but I think a player who keeps a good... I mean, if you have the torch, you could just hang out in the bright part of the level and just, and just see if you're good at timing, you could probably just attack everyone who shows up. It wouldn't be a total... You couldn't totally cheese it, but you could probably start down the road of cheese as it currently is. I think just naturally, as the torchbearer, you want to be running away. So I think just the gameplay suggests that, but the mechanics probably give you maybe a smarter exploitative option. But I actually don't see players doing that because it's not as fun.
One thing that I thought would kind of be interesting, instead of just King of the Hill, you gain points as you hold the torch.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we had thought about, but we just never implemented just because was adding in something in the darkness, that could possibly hunt you down. And I was thinking it might be an interesting, at least game mode, to do every minute. You might have this big, huge door, and some big baddie comes out. You can't see him because he's always in the darkness. You can kill someone, but you can't go in the light.
Like a very slow-moving big baddie.
Yeah, so that would kind of be like you'd hold the torch because they can't get you with the torch, and everyone else who doesn't have the torch would have to be like, oh no, get the torch with the torch, and also at the same time dodge this thing lumbering.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe when you don't have the torch, you are just under extreme threat from hazards in the level, and then when you have the torch, the only threat to you is other players. So it really changes the way the game is. But of course, if you're another player, you need to get safe from the level in order to mount an offensive against the torchbearer.
Okay.
So would you be able to be attacked by the monster in the dark if you were standing in a light area?
I would think if the monster's on the prowl, the lights go out. Simply because then you kind of add some more dynamicness to the level. Once the lights go out,
if you're hanging out in the light, the other person can see you coming to get the torch, but also you're safe from that monster thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do like your swinging doors. I will say that it looks like when you carry the torch, you're riding it backwards riding it like a broom backwards.
It does look like a hobby horse. You know what? Here's a thought. The lights on the doors are red. Wouldn't it be great if a player touches the doors, they light up in the color of that player, so you know who last went through that door.
Oh, that would be
So when you see it swinging, you kind of know who it was who's coming your way.
Like, I would also just, like, really love to add in some, like, dynamic effects, too. Like, I know we were working on some destructible furniture. I don't think we ever got a finished result of that. But, like, I really would love the idea of, like, having this pristine mansion. You start off that way. And
you smash up all the chairs.
I will say, by way of a little criticism, if you can take it, is a lot of the ideas I'm hearing about the things you guys have been batting around have been about presentation and effects, and I think there's a lot to explore with just the core mechanics before you think of before you go down any of that road. I mean, it's not, as someone who likes to, I generally don't use dev art. I just put my final art as I play or as I develop. So like, who am I to criticize?
That's a bad choice.
I mean, there's balance as in all things, but I think you guys can focus a lot on player movement, attack, different states. I think because a lot of the ideas about different lighting conditions, even the monster in the dark, because of how that visually will appeal and how that reads to players, that's going to lock you into a lot of things before you're probably ready for it.
Yeah, and with the furniture, one of the reasons why I was thinking about that is because it's another thing to obscure the light, and it's something that would be a bit more dynamic to add in some more mechanics in there. With the it ends up, a lot of this stuff was, we were just kind of throwing things together and finding what was fun.
Yeah, and since we only really did about, like, I would say, like, only like 30% of the sort of find the fun process, as Mark's saying, like, if we were to get a lot of it, at least on my side, would be about different play mechanics.
Okay, Lane, can you say that part again, or that last part again? You cut out.
No. Okay. Yeah. I'm having a hard time streaming. That like a lot of my time would be spent trying to like try different play mechanics.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back and read some of the stream chat for everybody. Big Culture says, I think I also assumed that the torchbearer couldn't attack, but now I'm thinking maybe you should leave it so they can, but only by throwing the torch at the person pursuing you.
And if you miss, the torch is just there for them to pick up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty cool idea.
That's the risk reward that I think this game really needs. Is a lot of like gambles that pay off or really, really don't pay off. You know?
And then you have to go pick it back up.
Yeah. Because the thing like this is a party game, but you could play it with 4 hardcore people who are into the strategy of it. And so you want to be able to take lots of gambles and miss most of them, because then it's a fun party game. Or you want it to be very deliberate with your gambles, because then it becomes a strategy game, without having to change the game at all, you know?
I will say that this is not a game that I would like or play, but that's because I'm not into these type of player versus player games.
Yeah.
So it's out of my perfect stuff. Who is Red?
Super Moose.
Oh.
He is kicking butt.
Yeah, came in at the end and just leaving everyone behind.
Like, I know one other thing, I think we settled on the torch simply because we couldn't figure it out, but I know, like, we were thinking about doing a flashlight instead, or...
That's a torch in the UK.
like, something more of
Wow.
a light source rather than a... Which I thought could be an interesting... I think we stuck with the simple spherical AoE light.
Well, you don't want a light source where you can't see behind you, because that's where all your attacks are coming from.
You know that all the time I can't see behind me. That's the nature of my head.
Yeah. Right, how much of a survival horror game is this becoming, where you have to take 3 steps, turn around, take 3 steps, turn around, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
It ended up being horrible. I kind of want to add in some more spookiness, some more some more false positives. I also just really
Yeah.
we could do even more stuff with just like the automatopoeia, like steps.
I kind of feel like, Cody, like, I wonder if we'd want to de-specify the automatopoeia, just because, like, for example, you have step here, but then if you throw the rock, it says thud, and it's, like, obvious that it's not a step, you know? Would we want to, like, ambiguate that a little bit more?
Yeah, or at the very least, like...
Wait, you can throw a thing?
Yeah, press in on the right stick.
Yeah. Okay.
Or right trigger, or left trigger, I should say.
I mean,
Just go click instead of step.
I agree with I think you should get rid of all the text on screen. I think it serves its purpose, but the little pulses do the same job, and the game is meant to be sort of atmospheric. And is that person coming for me? And I feel like having those. I mean, partly is like the die
sound circles.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it, I think maybe my reaction to it is the die. It feels sort of off tone for what this game is.
Yep.
Which feels a little silly. Like that just feels like I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And so you could certainly just change that to something a little bit more on tone. I mean, it's neither here nor there really. But I think in general, having the sound cues works, because then that becomes a genericized system that could be used for when you throw a rock against the wall, could be used for when a torch a part of the wall crumbles, or it can be much more of a sort of generic signal, that multiple systems can use and interact with without having to like bespoke design for each of them, you know.
And one thing that I really wanted to do, like in this game, was put like other things, something in the darkness. Like you wouldn't even like give it a sprite or anything, just because it's only in the darkness. Possibly like hunting things down. I really like the idea of that, and just using those automatopoeias. Like that's your only like indicator of where it might be.
Sure. That's something you'd want to throw that in and play test it, just to see how fun that is to be hunted by something you will never see.
Yeah, and that's always the thing too. Yeah, is it? Because I really do like the whole automatopoeia and steps and all of that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's a really cool effect, even if it's not in like a multiplayer, it's like in a single player thing. I really like it.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, and this is sort of always where I am with my comments on these things, is like, if that's the case, then I think you need to have more of it. It needs to be much more of a core part of the experience of playing. So right now, you can walk across the whole thing and never see any onomatopoeias unless you do your dash move. So what if the game were such that you had to stay perfectly still, and every step you took did one of those, and it was scaled based on how far, you know what I mean? Like, make it much more obvious when anybody's moving. Make the entire screen dark with very little lights, and so then that visual element serves a larger gameplay purpose. I mean, I don't. That's not the direction I would go. But if you really, really love that, I think you need to rally around it with the rest of the game. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Okay. Well, Cody, I definitely think we have a lot to work off of here. Yeah, I'm very satisfied. You got any questions?
Nothing I can think of.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Next up, you guys want to get Glom open?
Yeah, we'll do that to close out the night. Real quick before we close this one down, Lane, you were saying that you guys had built this a while ago. Has it just been sitting on a shelf for a bit? Are you looking to get right back into it, or are you deciding whether to get back into it? Tell us about the plans, essentially, regardless of what you're going to change. What's the work plan for it?
I think right now we've just been a little bit discussing, like, have you guys had any thoughts about this since then? And what would you think about like putting in one more sort of game jam length of time into it, just to see what happens? Because I out of the, I don't know, like 20, 25-ish game jams that I've done, I sort of feel like this is up there as a game that is, you know, not currently amazing, but like it might have potential. It's like a brave new genre, and it feels like it's sort of on the cusp of something. And I think that we're just like a few of these idea attempts away. So yeah, I think that Cody and I will be getting together with our other friend Christopher sometime in the next like couple months, and we'll bring it back, let you know what we did with it.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to see it at its next step, like the next sort of like big move you make with it. Haul it back in, and we'll give it a peek.
Awesome. We'll do.
Cool. All right, Dale, are you ready to present
Yeah.
Glom?
I was gonna ask, are you gonna load it up on Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, you do that, and then I'll just join you so that I can run either the cards
Yeah, that's a good
flipping
idea.
or the timer.
Yeah, so this is a game we don't need Parksec for. Anyone in chat can play along. Anybody in Twitch chat watching can play along as well, and you could throw your answers into Twitch chat. That's how we did it the last time we had it here. It is a party card game. So Dale, the server is TC Playtest, and the password is Playtest.
Okay.
And so anyone else who has a copy of Tabletop and wants to join us
Okay.
can do that as well.
Will
But
you kick me off of Parsec? 'Cause
I will indeed.
don't know how to do that.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. What else was I gonna say about this? Oh, if you are in the Twitch chat but haven't been chatting, or you're watching the Twitch stream but haven't been chatting, this is a good time where I remind you that sometimes you have to sign in before you can actually chat anything.
Oh, on Twitch, yeah.
Yep, because that always gets me.
Mm-hmm. Right, you're not a regular Twitch user, so you just kind of drive by and yeah. I'm sort of similar. I have an account of my own as well as the TC or IDGA TC one that I run when we do these events, but I'm not generally a Twitch consumer, so I always feel a little bit lost with some of the basics. But here's Glom. For folks who have not seen this game before, this is a card game that myself and Stephen and Ellen originally made on an episode of Nice Games Club.
Which is a podcast.
Which is a podcast that we do, a weekly game dev podcast, nicegames.club. You can check it out. And after that, we do these game jam episodes where we come up with a game in an hour. This one came together very quickly, and we're really, really pleased with it. And so we're moving it forward. We're going to try to pitch it to some publishers. That's where it's at now. And we've been trying to get a lot of playtests so we can understand some of the interactions between these card types, which you'll understand in a moment. After we'd finished the game, Dale took it, and Dale put it into Tabletop Simulator. Dale created a lot of content for it. We had the rules, but Dale is responsible for a lot of what the game is now. So the game belongs to the four of us now. And just recently, I did a little bit of a visual update to these decks, and we added a bunch more cards in each of these three decks. And so we have a prototype that we've been planning to pitch out, basically. Not final, but this is roughly what the game is now and will probably be until a publisher asks us to make changes, I think. If we're so lucky to get the attention of any board game publishers. It's a little bit outside of our wheelhouse, which is why we're working with Peter Yang, who is IDGA board member. You may have seen him present at an IDGA event last week. He's helping us put together materials for it because he knows all about that world. Well, we're video game people, so.
Okay. Mark, what was the name of this thing again? Twin Cities Playtest?
TC Playtest.
Ah!
All lowercase.
And all one word?
Yes, and then Playtest is the password. So
Okay, I can't connect to it right now, or I can't find it right now, so I'm going to close it up, but why don't we go ahead and start playing?
Yeah.
Being in the game isn't better than just hanging out in chat, right?
That's true.
Right.
It's nice when Dale controls the thing, so I don't have to, but I'm perfectly happy to. So the way Glom works is you draw a phrase card.
Which is blue now instead of purple. This is the major change.
The major change.
Shocking.
You draw a rule and you draw a goal. And so then players have 3 minutes, roughly. I'll fix that later. Players have 3 minutes to come up with a phrase, what we call a glom, which is rewriting the phrase without using any of the words in the phrase while following the rule in order to best meet the goal. That's how you're competing with other players. So in this case, you need to say, buy me a hot dog, without using any of the words, buy me a hot or dog. The rule is any word that's 4 letters or longer must begin with the same letter. And the goal is to have most words with a different number of syllables. So if I say, like, how are you doing, that I would get two because it's 1 syllable and 2 syllables. So the idea is to vary about that. So the interaction between the rule and the goal, your restriction and your aim, is what makes the game sort of interesting. Ultimately, with the number of phrase, rules, and goal cards we have, there are over 30,000 combinations. So that's sort of I'm sort of practicing my pitch for everybody because that's kind of the mode we're in right now. But it's you can play it without the timer if you want. You could play it without the goal if you want. You can play it by yourself. There's a lot of it's sort of handy for house rules as well, which is kind of what's fun about it. The concept is really simple and elegant, that you can kind of stretch it out to whatever you want to do. A lot of times the official rules are first player to 3 successful gloms. Skull-goring gloms wins, but you could also just play forever. Like there's no without really keeping a lot of track if you want to.
Oh, I love that there's just a goal now and not a score that you have to get between rounds. It's so much easier.
Yeah, and actually that's just really a change in terminology. Like the instead of saying like how many points do you get versus how many points do you get, who has the most points, each goal has its own category, or its own criteria. So if we look at another one, fewest syllables. Right, that's another. It's a very different goal. Our goals could also be very different from most or less. Right, you could have, or most or less in terms of the sentence. You could say the first person to come up with one could be the goal, and so you sort of buzz in or something when you have one. Or the goal could be most violations of the rule. So it kind of says, oh, now I'm going to make a bunch of 4-letter words that don't begin with the same letter, and that's what that's the goal. So there's lots of different things we can do with the goal, but describing it as a goal that everyone's going for, that it's the superlative that one player will reach, it kind of makes it makes the game even more elegant, which is when we described it as scoring in the past, it worked, it made sense, and the game wasn't even really that different, but like now it feels more of a piece. And that's a lot of the work you do with stuff like this, is like I mean, really, this game is not different from the thing it took us 20 minutes to come up with. It's just, if you listen to that episode of Nice Games Club and play this prototype, it feels really different now, even though the rules have not changed, I think, even at all.
Barely changed.
Yeah. All right, well, that's enough of the preamble. Why don't we go ahead and give it a go?
All right.
I'll opt out maybe of the game so I can...
oh, shoot. All right, I need it to BRB for like 1 minute. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Dale, do you want to let us know any of your thoughts before we get started properly then?
No, let's play.
All right.
We changed it to goal. That's it.
All right. I'm going to grab a new phrase card. We'll do, have a great night. No word may have fewer syllables than the one before it. It can have the same number, but as soon as you have a 2-syllable word, no more 1-syllable words. And the goal is fewest syllables. We did get a peek of that card already, but there you go.
Okay.
And 180 is our time. And it starts now. So anybody in Twitch chat can try to come up with one. And you can share it in the Twitch chat. I'm going to start typing up my draft in there.
Okay, I'm back. Excited for Glom.
Oh, you missed 15 seconds of it.
Uh-oh. Wait, are we going?
We're going.
Type it in your chat.
Okay.
Catch up.
Okay.
What do you mean,
That's just a reflection of my insecurity that my sentence is any good.
Oh, mine is great.
Wait, no word may have fewer. Why isn't it like each word must have the same or more? Double negatives hurt my brain.
Yeah, like writing the rules is interesting because, like, do you phrase it as must or cannot? Like, you know, there's multiple ways to say it. That's a
good feedback
yeah,
for you, Mark. Maybe we should rewrite that in the positive sense.
Yeah, so I got my sentence, so I'll take this last 90 seconds to vamp about this on air. So no word can have fewer syllables than one before it. So each word must have the same or more syllables than the one prior.
Can only have as many syllables or more than the one prior.
We're using two. I think this might be the as is might be the fastest way to say it.
Maybe this is a bad rule, I say, as being the person who didn't happen to write this one.
I wrote this rule, so that's probably why you think that. No, I think the things like no word may have is useful because when you're writing it out, it is actually useful to like, oh, here's a word, does it break the rule? Here's a word, does it break the rule? Rather than, I guess it sort of depends because there are some that all words must or each word may, or that are phrased that way. But I think in terms of, that's my instinct anyway. But if we have another way to phrase this, we can think about that. But I don't know that we're there.
Okay, there's 30 seconds left on the timer.
Yeah.
And I am going to go ahead and start reading out some of the things just because this is a shorter one because the goal is to have the fewest syllable.
Yeah.
So big culture every time says, get good evening. It makes the rules. Slumkey says, wish your evening fantastic.
I like that one because it escalates. It doesn't get the goal, but it follows the spirit of the rule best. I like it a lot.
And I said, be well.
That's brilliant.
Okay, IGDCATC,
That's
must
me.
be you, Mark,
Yep.
says, you should enjoy tonight.
That's awesome.
I mean, nothing beats Dale's. Dale's is brilliant.
No, Dale's does not work.
No?
You think you're going to challenge it?
I will, because yours does not mention the night.
It does not.
That's the thing about the game that's fun, is that you really want to interpret the phrase in its context, right? So when you say, can I have a hot dog, you have to mention the hot dog, because you can't say like, you know what I mean? Like if I say enjoy your meal, you could rephrase it by saying like have a good cheeseburger, but you can't do the reverse, right? Okay. But have a great night feels like that's a thing you say when you welcome someone into the theater or for their evening, or
when they're leaving the
when they're
theater.
leaving your party.
You say have good night.
So I think
thank you.
Now the mechanism the game has for disputes as to whether they actually are properly say the phrase is that anyone can raise an objection, and then all the players vote on it, and tie goes to the person who came up with the phrase. So it's the simplest way to do it without having any enumeration as to you must use all the words in a thesaurus-y way. But I love when people take the meaning of the phrase and rewrite it, especially when the rules and goal give you like a clever way to do it. But there are groups of players who would agree with you, Lane, and disqualify Dale's. So it's kind of just up to the people you're playing with.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm happy with that.
Slumkey said good night, and then Big Culture said carrot. Lane says carrot reuses the word night, which isn't allowed, and then Bitch Culture says lol.
What's funny is that
good evening.
I love when that happens. That's the first rule that applies to all rounds of Glom, is that you cannot use any of the words in the phrase. And it's amazing how many people mess that up, and it doesn't feel bad. Like, you don't feel like an idiot when you do that, which is, I won't speak to Slemke's feelings at the moment, but whenever I do it, I'm always like, ugh, hilarious. Like,
Darn!
I never feel...
I missed that. Ah! That's where I swear a lot.
Yeah. And it's kind of fun because there's something fun about being thick. You know what I mean? Like missing something right in front of you. There's something kind of enjoyable about it. And it lowers the stakes of the game, I think, in a way that I think is important.
Okay. Do we want to vote on if mine counts, or do we want to just move on to the next round?
I say we just move on to the next one because
All right.
we're not really keeping score.
Let's do it.
All right. The phrase is, where is the library? The rule is, must be exactly 4 words.
Yeah.
Most vowels.
Okay.
And our time starts now.
All right. Okay.
That's good, man. 4 words with most vowels. That's a good combo.
Okay, I got mine.
There's always more time to add vowels, Dale.
I only have 4 words, and so it's hard to add more vowels.
There's a lot of massaging to do, though, with the English language. We got at least 26 of them. Ooh. Big culture. Coming in fast. You don't get extra points for that, Buster. You've got 120 more seconds. I like his words though. Free books are where.
That's good. I do love the ones where you just like you have a good sentence.
Except, hey, big culture, where is in the phrase?
Oof.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
Fix it up. You got a minute 34.
It's true. I do like the ones where you feel like you have a good sentence and you're like, I don't care if it meets the goal, it's just fun. Like
Big culture said derp. Free books are why.
I don't know what language that is, Slemkey, but that language is very bad. Gotta say.
I will say so.
For her store bibliotext.
We had this
We
had this conversation about language, and because this is a word game, I think it is. I would say by default, phrases should be in English, or if you were playing this with Spanish-speaking people and everyone agreed, then it should be in Spanish, right? Now,
or you could do a combination. Big culture says, "Are free books around?"
Oh, I like that. That's pretty good. Now the key for that is like, borrowed words are fine. So like biblioteca is a very common, almost pop culture, word for library. So like that's a borrowed word. Like if I were to say to somebody kind of randomly in the United States who only speaks English, like, where's the biblioteca? They would know what I meant. So like I think that as a borrowed word, that would make sense. Or if you have multilingual speakers, then the group can decide to use other languages. But I think just like grabbing translations is sort of against the spirit of the game.
Okay. Lane says, which establishment handles bookkeeping?
Oh, I like
Very
that.
nice. I said bookkeeper because
Nice.
2 sets of double
Same
vowels
wavelength, very
employed somewhere nearby.
Sounds pretty good. Mine is probably not as good, but similarly, I try to have multiple syllables just to rack up
Wherever
the...
knowledge repository located. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. All right, let's count up them vowels.
Yeah, I was going to say, is anybody else waiting and pressing that enter key? Hivor L Store Bibliothek. Mr. Lemke. Okay.
How much of a stickler are you, and I guess this might vary group to group, on how like proper grammar your sentence has to be?
Yeah, so we're going to have a section in the rule book called like Spirit of Glom, which is like, no caveman speak, please. Because
are
so
you
many
calling me? I feel called out.
No, yours is fine. I mean, mine is the same, where you have sort of an imperative question, right?
Yeah, debatably, like neither of yours has the word "is" in it, but you imply it.
Yeah, I would say personally, if I'm playing, I would challenge that.
Okay.
But we can't make a rule about that because that's sort of the key about language is there are no real rules.
Sure. Yep.
All language is valid, and so the in the rule book we're going to say Spirit of Glom, don't use quote unquote caveman speak, but feel free to bend but not break the rules of grammar. If you have a problem with somebody else's, just challenge it using the system. And you may find
I feel like a lot of groups would sort of arrive at like what they're comfortable with in a couple.
Yeah, and that's it. We had a lot of trouble of like the whole thing about this game is it's a party game, but unlike Apples to Apples or Shudder to Think, Cards Against Humanity, it's not a game that is entirely subjective. And there's a place for those types of games. They're fun. But we wanted something that was where people who didn't feel like they were the most clever or funny would be the ones who always won, or the ones who like get the tone of the room. Like if you're new to this group of friends, you should still be able to win, like even if you don't know everybody's humor. And so we wanted some more objective qualities to this word game, but the language defies that kind of thing.
Right.
So we had a lot of thoughts about like what how much should we specify, and ultimately I think you're right, the group of people you play with will find their level.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, no, I would personally probably challenge both of yours, just because I sort of feel like challenge fun is trying to squeeze these phrases into proper English grammar. But I don't know if that's fun for
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say
I
you
don't know if
did
I would
use
succeed.
excellent grammar, Lane Davis. I want to go run back to the stream chat where Slumkey says librarians work somewhere, and he missed an E in somewhere nearby, and then said, "Oh
that
no,
was
I
what I meant."
misspelled and dropped a vowel. Ugh."
Actually, I will say, Lane, I would challenge yours, because which establishment's bookkeeping is an accountant's office, not a library.
That's very true. Of course, I would fall into that same thing. We do have a
Really? Okay.
suggested house rule of the 5 seconds fix. So,
Yes.
Scott, you would be able to fix your misspelling of somewhere, or if you accidentally used one of the words in the phrase, if you could fix it by replacing one word with another within the spirit of 5 seconds, I think we would be good. Ooh, except the answer to Lane's question is library.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
Which
not.
established...
It's not the answer to the question. Libraries, they keep books in the library, but they're not bookkeepers. Right? Bookkeeping means something else. But I would challenge it, and everybody would else be lighten up, you idiot, and then and then we'd all approve it, and it'd be fine.
The answer is not where the library is.
Oh, I see.
It's
what you
either
mean.
library or you need an accountant, Lane Davis.
See, that's the case. I wouldn't object on those grounds, because when you say where's the light, it's like when you say the example we like to say is where's the bathroom? A phrase for that is can I pee here? It's not actually the same question, but if you were to say that either of those things, they would give you the same answer.
Beekeeping is like accounting, but only for honey. I love it.
Yeah.
Lemke.
That's pretty good.
All right, should we move on to the next round?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Since we're not actually keeping score here.
we're not.
I will say, like, I feel like lawyering in this game is like
Oh, you're dropping out there, Lane. We're missing your opinion on rule lawyering.
Oh well, whatever. It's cool.
No. What did you say? Like that it would be fun or not?
I just heard that
I'm
all
saying
my
that-
answers are cool from Lane.
Yeah.
Dale, here's what you
No,
want to say.
I was saying that like the like rule lawyering. I mean, like I think it's actually pretty fun and pretty like game. I like
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fun because the stakes are so low, and
Exactly.
because when you raise an objection, it's really hard to put your foot down on it. You know what I mean? Because you
Uh-huh.
feel like an idiot. So
And you're going to break that same rule the
right,
next time.
Exactly right. It's like, that doesn't feel like a grammatical sentence. Then you're thinking back of all the ones that you had done that would that if you were being honest would be, yeah.
Bit Culture said ha 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 to the beekeeping joke, and then stinger. And then Scott Slemke said that joke was the bee's niece. Agree.
All right, here's our new
Argument
Glom.
is like 33% of the fun, says Bit Culture, and then he puts a comedy face mask emoji.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I
Blue
correctly
smiley
describing
face.
it for our audio audience?
Well, perhaps, but the more important thing is that time has started now
Oh, ding! Okay.
on the new Glom.
What is your favorite subject? All words must have 2 or fewer syllables. Most words with exactly 6 letters.
That's a good combo. What's nice about a thing like this is your sentence can be as long as you want it to be in order to get a couple of 6-letter words in there.
All right, my sentence has no 6-letter words. Time to massage.
Okay. Crap. Okay. Crap, that's 7 letters. Wait, hold on. That's a 3-syllable, even though it had exactly 6.
Ooh, 7 seconds.
Okay.
I'm trying to get another thing in there, but not in 3 seconds. And this time.
Okay, hold on. I gotta put in my pen. Okay. Thomas, please babble about the class that you warmed to above the others. From Lane Davis.
Pretty good.
I said, in which area do you prefer to engage in studies?
Area.
Ooh.
That's not how I pronounce area. It's 1 syllable.
That's a tough one because it totally fools you. Because how could a 4-letter word have 3 syllables?
I know, and what's funny is I switched it out with arena.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, oh, that's a 6-letter word, but then I was like, arena is definitely 3.
Yeah.
So I missed it. Okay. Mark at IGGATC says, which school topics are agreed to be the best ones?
Oh, that's a cool thing.
I tried to get the word become in there, but I couldn't justify it.
Slimkey said, had to pass.
Loosely related to the topic.
Yeah.
Which subjects did you pass? I had to pass this. It was my favorite. Bit Culture says, topics you're really into, but the top one.
But the top one. Nice.
It's not quite caveman speak, so I would totally allow it. But it is a little bit like,
But
did you mean to say that?
But there's only like 2 6-letter words there. So that...
Oh, that's the toughest, when you really struggle and you come up with something that kind of works, and then you don't really even get
it.
Like you do okay, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you have somebody please babbling about about warming class.
Yeah. I mean, I only got 3, and I feel like I
only got 3 too.
Yeah, it's tough. Lane, you got more, right? Because you
Please
squeezed Thomas in
babble.
there, which
Well, I don't know if
warm.
Thomas is fair, but even without that, I have.
And
4.
others.
So
I mean,
I think I squeaked
who's
it.
to say you're not talking to Thomas? Like as much as I never personally do that, but I
Who
feel
is
I have a hard
yours?
time saying it's not allowed. Like that's the thing we could put in the rule book, but like I'm really loath to because
I
it's fun.
like
Sure.
it because it's
Yeah,
fun. And
really
if
is
you
fun.
if you're real creative and then you're like, you just have a weird name, it's fun. Okay, next round.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we need to acknowledge that Lane totally did win that round.
Oh, Lane totally did win that round. And
Yeah.
Bit Culture says, "Get some dinner. It's time to do that thing," which is not a translation of what is your favorite subject, I would say. But thanks. It was great to hang out with you too, Bit Culture.
On the show
Or
soon,
Bit
Ben.
Color.
Thanks for joining us. All right. Let's. You want to make this the last round?
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
that sounds good.
All right. I overslept.
Crap.
Must contain a known acronym or initialism. We haven't tested this one before. It might not be good.
Uh-huh.
What does that even mean? Okay.
So like scuba or FBI. That's an
Okay.
that's an acronym and an initialism.
Okay.
Okay.
Most sets of double vowels.
Ooh, this is
Jeez.
going to be super hard.
Oh, I gotta set the timer. This is one where you have a ton of freedom.
Uh-huh.
Like the longer you're. But it's subject to cheesing. We'll be the judge of that, I guess.
Oh, this is not a double vowel. Let's double tar.
Happily, there's only 2 words we can't use. I like my sentence, but like it's not great toward the goal. I like it.
Oh, are you limited to one sentence, by the way?
Yes, you can have
Ooh.
clauses, but only one sentence.
Good.
So-
G2K. G2K.
Okay, I think 3 seconds to go. I think I'm
Okay.
settled on mine.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to read these in the order they appear.
Okay.
Mine is first, 6 November. This AM, I stayed asleep too long and then seen entering the classroom too late. I used the word I.
Oh no!
Okay, I disqualified myself. Lane Davis said, sheep counting careened me into deep dreams, leaving me too woozy to resist the snooze button and AWOL for my zookeeping job. Oh my gosh. That's fantastic. Okay.
And AWOL. I'm just being picky because this is so good.
Because it should be and was AWOL for my zookeeping job.
Oh,
Leaving me
well,
and-
it left me too woozy, and it left me AWOL. I think that worked.
leaving me. Yeah.
Okay. IGTC. Mark says my alarm went poof, so my ETA to our meet at the pool party will be delayed. Boo.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know why I didn't come up with snooze or sleep, which are so implied. I didn't come up with either of those.
Slimkey said I was AWOL because I tried sleeping too much earlier this day.
That's pretty good. Although you did use the word I.
And he said, and then Slimkey said, "Oh no, lol."
Yeah, it's with only 2 words. See, that's how easy it is to get, and how I love it.
How easy it is to miss. Yep.
Yeah.
50% of us use the word I.
Hopefully I'm not cutting out too much, because one thing I wanted to ask about is, so I've played this a little bit, and what my like power gaming sister and me, I'm not gonna say I don't do is like if we can, we will just like write real long sentences to try to squeeze out the most stuff. And I'm wondering, like, would like, gosh, like, would you guys even see that as a problem?
So the earliest version of the game, the goals, we called them scoring cards, were like most words, most syllables, most letters. It was really very much about that. In which case, it was really easy to start cheesing it by just having these big run-on sentences. So there's 2 counters to that. One is the phrase has enough usually connective tissue words that it's really hard to make long ramble sentence without using the is or the that's in that phrase or whatever. You start using up all of them. So that's kind of a self-correction there. This one is really well susceptible to it, so it kind of makes it a fun exception. The other thing is that allowing for clauses but no periods means that and people can kind of, they can put they can bend that pretty far by putting 3 sentences with 3 commas in between, if they're not caught by their fellow players. That helps a little bit too. But we've also tried to change the goals to encourage that less.
That's good. Okay.
But that said, it still is part of the game, and I don't know what the rest of the team thinks, but in playtesting that we've done so far, I feel that the balance is pretty good, and you only have 3 minutes, so it's got to be grammatically correct, at least to pass muster with your friends, and you've got 3 minutes to do it. So I feel like that might be the other check on that.
Oh, sure. I don't know. I'm definitely not on the team. I'm just an opinion. I would be real curious to see if people enjoyed it if you had like a full cap of like 10 words or something. Just because the most fun for me, the most fun for me anyway, is I have my like little sentence. I'm trying to squeeze more value into it, and being able to win by adding less fun, squeeze more of my words.
Yeah, it's tough because like it's like one more rule to think about, and like how much of it is balancing the game versus preventing fun.
Sure.
I'm perfectly willing to do something that balances the game at the cost of fun, but it has to be really worth it. I think maybe and this is where like the spirit of Glom sidebar in the rules is going to just have to do a lot of heavy lifting about like just like play nice, and Glom might not be the game for the purely tactical player,
It could be, and even so, like I like play like board games like this to win, and I still.
We'll never know what he does.
You still what?
But like I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott Lemke in the comments said, "Boy, I would need to practice at this game a bit. I totally ramble when I talk, but I have to fight my urge to be concise when writing."
Yeah.
Heh.
Oh, and not that you meant to bring this up, Slemke, but Scott here has been doing some writing lately. Maybe you want to share the link to your blog in chat, because I think people should take a peek at it. You weren't fishing for that, but I thought I'd mention it because it's a cool thing you've been doing lately.
Okay. I will also mention that some of the goals are for the least amount of things, too. So that is, things where Lane would be less able to cheese it by explaining exactly how he overslept and what his job is.
Yeah. And so, like, most words with a different number of letters, that one that's pretty hard to cheese.
Yeah, that one is very hard to cheese.
Fewest letters. Most 3-letter words. So yeah, a lot of these are most, but they're
Super fast, hard shadows, soft shadows.
yeah, Dale, I don't know, but Scott's been writing about game dev on his blog, and
that's
it's been
cool.
going over very well. He's really, it's very good stuff. Everyone should click those links and give him a read.
Like maybe somebody should put it in the Nice Games Club thing and mention it there too.
Maybe.
As a resource.
As a resource, perhaps, yes.
Longest word.
Yeah. This one's a contention. This was some math. It was a fancy of mine that I think is probably not a good idea, because everyone scores negative, which is fun, but like it's not. I don't know. It ended up not working out as well as I thought.
Okay.
I like this one a lot. No tours, maybe the same number of letters.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it is now 9:30, and we have been at this for 3 hours. Is this our new end time now that I've switched to starting everything at 6:30?
Yes, we are officially over time. So if there's anything to wrap up before Dale does her fun outro line to close off the stream.
Oh, yeah. Oh, watch out, people. I have been playing a lot of Mass Effect.
Well, Lane, thanks for bringing in your prototype, and thanks to all the developers who brought in their games.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody who's typing in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for giving Glom another go, and we'll be back next month with more stuff. Lane, you have any final thoughts?
Not that won't get cut off due to my leg, so I'll stay quiet for now.
All right, Dale, as it happens every month, take us out.
I should go.